Let's go. Oh, real quick. Either of you say anything at all?
Anything at all.
Wonderful. Y'all are the best. Let's make sure.
Do we have local recordings ready?
Well, that's very quiet.
Good.
That's too loud.
Good news.
That's just right. Hey, Kashatar. I have a local recording that is only my voice.
That is the best kind.
I can confirm the question you asked. Every time I see a Joce emoji, I'm just like, it's fucking adorable.
I really like mine. I think they're very cute. I like Slissa's too.
There's some good shit. We've been adding them slowly to our YouTube channel, and I'm all excited because I have emojis for the first time ever, but I'm like, oh, but all my friends are on Twitch, so no one gets to see my emojis. I made a Zelda emoji of my dog Zelda, and it's amazing.
Aww.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. Zelda.
She is cute and is very popular with our Final Fantasy crowd because she looks exactly like a pet they just added to the game.
Question. I did see that Cora's tweet was talking about clarifying some stuff about how some of the cards work, but I feel like I missed something because people were talking about how Murloc Holmes works, and I'm like, I don't understand how solve 3 clues. The fuck does that even mean?
Did you watch?
It was in the
was
video.
there something else?
Did you watch the video?
Oh, I watched the trailer.
Okay, so
I didn't know there was another video.
The video.
There are 3 discovers.
Yep.
Yeah. You discover from their opening hand. You have to guess one of 3 cards you think that was in it. If you get it right, then you move to stage 2. You have to discover a card you think is in their hand right now. 2 wrong answers, 1 right one. If you get that right, you have to discover a card that you think is in their deck right now. 1 right answer, 2 wrong. If you guess all 3, you get copies of all 3.
Okay, and if it happens whenever you play this. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
and so it'll remember opening hand even if I play this on turn 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It's looking for.
So the later you wait, the better option. The more likely it is that you know what was in their opening hand. So you should at least get the first one right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, you theoretically want the value early. I don't know. It's
I'm not talking about when I want to play it. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how it works. And then how does Vash work?
Vash is. We'll explain this on the show.
Okay.
But instead of her changing, the thing she would change into just pops on the board, and she stays the same. So if you hex her, you're making a 0/1 frog with taunt, but Vash stays right there because she can't be transformed. The thing that she would transform into instead is boop right on the board.
So this would also work with the new location card muck pools.
Okay.
So
okay.
If the new evolve location with her says make 3 5-drops over 5 turns.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a when I played it, and I'm like, but how would it know if it was supposed to transform into a minion? How does that even what? But I get it. If you were it's basically immune to polymorph.
And also it's an evolve payoff, but you're meant to use it with the evolve location. You play her, and in that turn you make a 5, and then when it wakes up, you make another 5. Garrett, I see your confusion. The locations have a 1-turn cooldown. It's every other turn.
My confusion is
at all.
My confusion is the rain was supposed to stop by now, and it's getting louder.
Oh, there's a lot of confusion. Going
okay.
on. But yeah, this is another set where cards are difficult to parse, and there's complexity here. I think that we're probably about due for a conversation on what does complexity look like in Hearthstone, because I think we're there in a pretty major way. Something I want to touch on.
I'm a little, as a pre-show chatter while we wait for this storm to pass, because it's supposed to end and keep saying in 5 minutes. So give it 5. I would say I'm a little wistfully thinking of the simpler days of.
I don't necessarily mind complexity. I just I think they might be taking just play it and you'll find out a little too far.
Yes, I agree. Until I watched the video, I looked at Murloc Holmes and it was I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What does
and
this
I didn't even
fucking
know there
card
was
do?
a video. Because in the blog post, which of course the expansion announcement, I went to playhearthstone.com. It had the trailer, and I was like, cool. And then it was like, watch a thing with Kibler later on July 1st. I was like, cool. Like nowhere did it say, oh, and by the way, there's an explains everything video.
I luckily follow Ben Hearthstone, who actually tweeted both trailers before the official announcement from the official Hearthstone account. We're talking literal minutes. Like they said it live on YouTube and then like went to go make their
it
tweet.
was on YouTube. He found it and put it. Okay.
The Angry Chickens post was 12 seconds after the official Hearthstone post, and that was because I was getting Ben Hearthstone's link loaded up to return to put back out. So Ben, if you're listening, thank you for letting me be timely.
On days like today, I just turned the bell on for his tweets, and it just makes my day so much easier. I just turned the bell on, then went and got lunch, and whenever stuff popped up, I was like, probably retweeting that. It was fine.
This is pre-show, chat. This is pre-show.
We haven't actually started. Garrett's currently being monsooned, so
it's one of those rare pre-shows where we're still talking about Hearthstone because there's so much to talk about, or getting our being horribly wrong about our assumptions out of the way right now, so we can only be a little wrong later. God damn, I hate the new Patreon.
I haven't even looked.
Has anyone seen the new Patreon? It's bad.
No.
It's like, what if you took all the things that I liked and then got rid of them?
They made them really
things
fucking
instead.
hard to find.
Yeah.
Here we go. Found it. Because I know we got a lot of new patrons named Steve, and I need to add them.
Our current plan for sponsorship is Garrett is going to name a name every week. And then the amount of shame that we generate from people with that name to give us money will sustain the show.
Legitimately, this is the most increase in new patrons we've had in a year, in a single week.
So we just have to pick a name every week.
This was
name and shame.
100% not my intention, by the way. It was a very bad joke that I was just like, I'm just going to run with it because I think this is funny in my head. But yeah, I guess we should have we should just try this from now on. So yeah, I was really hoping I want everyone named Bill Gates to become patrons at the highest maximum level. That would be really great. If your name is Bill Gates. Thank you. In advance.
Murloc Holmes has been in Hearthstone already for a little while, and I think he's a WoW character too. Like not a major one, but I think he's in WoW.
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
I believe that's incorrect.
He was a duels treasure, and I think he was a Monster Hunt treasure a while ago. Okay, yeah, no, actually, original to Hearthstone. How about that? Yeah, Monster Hunt, which was 4 years ago. What the hell?
Yeah. Welcome to the endless march of time.
Oh my god, dude! It sounds like
this is
sky
nuts.
is exploding.
No joke. We have had so many storms lately. This is the worst by a landslide fucking victory, and apparently it is just parked on top of my home. It still says rain stopping in 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't believe you. You said that 5 minutes ago. We could just go and hope for the best.
No. We know for sure, as long as you don't start recording and do the show, then your internet will be fine.
Yeah.
The second you start recording, it's going to be a problem. But if you don't record, it'll stay fine for an hour.
Listen, buddy.
You know how this works.
I don't like your tone. I don't like being called out like that.
Dazzledorn, it's been the same here too. All my flowers are dead, and it's not even July yet. Usually like by the first or second week of August, because I don't water my garden every day, and we usually have water bans and stuff. So, but yeah, it usually takes another 6 weeks or so before my flowers die, and they're toast. Makes me sad. I put so much work in. And you know what is growing, though? The weeds, because, of course, gardens are stupid and we should pave them all.
I literally just paved over our garden.
Like, I've been fighting with this garden. We've lived here for 5 years now, and I've been fighting with this garden for all 5 of those years because the people before me planted a whole bunch of like invasive, like ground cover stuff. So I've been pulling it out like crazy and trying to make it look nice instead of just an overgrown heap of garbage. And yeah, I think I might this year. I might just give up.
So we should probably just start because it just updated to saying maybe in 30 minutes.
Okay.
So I'll just ride my mute button. I'll be quieter than usual, probably. I'm here for moral support.
Okay.
This is just going to keep going. I could also... Can I turn off my noise gate? Let me turn off my noise gate in the beginning, and I'll get a clean noise sample of the rain. And that might help.
Oh. That sounds wet.
Doesn't it? It is blowing sideways and hitting the window fucking directly.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
It's just like...
a legitimately bad storm. This is bad. This is bad. I'm going to start my recording.
I feel so relaxed right now.
Right? Because the rain sounds.
Wait,
I might have to
what if
pee
we just-
halfway through the show.
Well, I just turned the noise gate off.
Rain sounds from-
So
Oh.
I'm getting a clean sample of the rain.
This is really relaxing. We should do this more often.
I just had a really big carb dense dinner, and I would love to just go to sleep right now. If I laid down in a bed right now, it's over. It's absolutely
Oh,
over.
I felt like that
Back
right
in the
after work.
chair. Yeah.
All right, that should be enough of a noise sample. I'm going to turn my noise gate back on. There it is. I'm going to pull back up the intro bowl. Oop, there's that. There's that. Cool. We good to go?
Yep.
Is everyone recording their personal audio?
Yes, sir.
Yee.
Wondrous. Then I'm going to put up our personal logo in the Angry Chicken episode 470. How the shit have we done this many episodes? Records live in 3, 2, 1. The Angry Chicken Hearthstone podcast is produced by amove.tv. Check out Amove TV for more podcasts covering Blizzard games. For more of Jocelyn's gaming podcasts, visit jossplays.com. And to find many more podcasts with Ridiculous Hat, follow @RidiculousHat on Twitter. Every episode of TAC is made possible thanks to our legendary patrons over at patreon.com/TAC.
Time's up. Let's do this. You face Jaraxxus. You smell like a leper gnome. I knew it. So hot. A podcast about Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. This is The Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, murderers. This is TAC. I'm Garrett, here as always with Jocelyn and Ridiculous Hat. And damn, do we have a show for you, and damn, does Florida have a storm for me. So if I just disappear from this podcast, it means a bolt of lightning decided it didn't want to hear my opinions on this new Hearthstone expansion that has been revealed earlier than usual? Question mark.
Yes. Yes, it has. Not a lot earlier, but enough. It's notable.
Okay, cool, because I definitely didn't take the time to actually go look it up.
It also very much seemed to come out of nowhere. It was like, tease, we're going to do a reveal. And then it was just like, reveal and patch and pre-order and blah and go. It's like, wow, okay, Hearthstone. Chill out a little bit.
You excited about Daddy Denathrius? Well,
yes.
Here's the ugliest main character Murloc we've ever come up with.
Yeah, I have
But
a
he's
feeling
got a
there's
little
going to be
frog
lots.
with a hat.
He does. Does that little frog have a name?
Watfin.
Murloc
very
Holmes
excited
and
about
Watfin. Watfin's adorable. Murloc Holmes is... Yeah, I'm just gonna shame. Murloc Holmes is fugly, y'all. That is a fugly ass Murloc.
We've definitely had some really freaking adorable Murlocs, and he is not that.
No, that is,
That's
yeah.
he has a beautiful mind.
He's beautiful on the inside. In most Sherlock adaptations, Sherlock's actually pretty ugly on the inside as well. Kind of a sociopath. Not sure why I love Sherlock adaptations so much or what that says about me, but yeah, you know, like you do. But we have a big, fat, honkin', thick, angry chicken episode for you today. So before we get into it, we want to thank our lovely, lovely patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. If you like what the three of us are doing, you want to support the three of us, well, Patreon is the opt-in way to do just that, and you'll get access to our Discord server for your trouble, as well as an ad-free version of the show. And last week, I made a really dumb joke, a super dumb joke, where I was like, just for once, I'm going to be like, hey, this specific name, you should up your pledge. And in the last week, we've gotten more new patrons than we have in the last year. That's the most new patrons we've had in a single week in over a year. I really didn't mean.
So thanks, all the Steves.
Thank you, Steves. Yeah, we also got a new patron named Mark Keller, but also thank you, Steve Shaw, for becoming a new patron, and shout out to Stephen King, not that Stephen King, for upping their pledge.
So this week we're going to shame Adam. Adam, it's your turn.
It's your turn, Adam. Yeah, it's your turn. If you're like, man, I found an extra quarter this week, it's our quarter now. That's how it works. That's how it works. Listen, Taco Bell has raised their prices so high you can't get anything anymore with that quarter. So just give it to us. We'll split it 3 ways. It's fine. It'll work out. What's Patreon getting these days? 5%? It's not that bad.
Are we doing the math on a quarter after?
Yeah, we
Patreon
literally
takes
are.
away?
Yeah. I'm just, and then I gotta
You have
set
to account
aside
for the currency exchange fee for Joce.
Well, then I'm self-employed, so I got to set aside X percentage to make sure I report at the IRS. What I'm trying to say is
getting complicated.
Thank you for your support, everybody. Thank you for your support. That was also a bad joke.
Keeping up with all of that stuff, it sounds so taxing.
Get it, Garrett? Because taxes.
I hope your sense of humor gets audited.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome. Yeah, I didn't think he got it. He didn't seem to be laughing nearly as much as he should. So I thought maybe.
Oh no, I laughed the
understand.
absolutely correct amount.
I'm proud of the influence I've had in this show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of myself.
Well, now that we've done with that, let's get into this week's news, which will basically be the entire episode.
Good news, everyone!
Hearthstone's next expansion, Murder at Castle Nathria, as I hit the wrong button on OBS, has been announced.
I didn't do it.
You didn't do the murder? Okay,
here's the
thing.
I probably did,
this
though.
is the most ridiculous setup for an expansion in the history of Hearthstone, because everything is like, who killed Sire Denathrius? Who did it? The game is afoot.
I literally did.
I did too, and I'm admitting to it. I killed Sire Denathrius. Jocelyn killed Sire Denathrius. We didn't do it together. We did it at 2 separate times, which also means that Sire Denathrius has died more than once. So why are we even trying to crack this case? Makes no sense. I'm right here, Murloc Holmes. You're ugly, and I did it.
Wow.
Man, you've had quite a day.
Calling Murloc Holmes out. Just, damn. Yeah, I'll be honest. Because of my Shadowlands experience in Warcraft, I saw the teaser and it looked very Shadowlands Revendreth Nathria-esque, and I was like, okay.
I had the exact same response. I was like, well, at least they chose the best part of Shadowlands, which is Castle Nathria.
Yes, I do agree. And I very much like that they took the idea of a murder mystery dinner party, which we're all familiar with, and decided to place that idea in a Warcraft setting. And I do think that Nathria is perfect for that. There's a few, obviously, another few places like back on actual Azeroth where that would work too. Basically anything that's undead, they all have that kind of like spooky theming. But I do think that Castle Nathria, like if you guys haven't played Warcraft and haven't played Shadowlands, there is a lot of like political intrigue. It's very kind of like Game of Thrones with like different parts vying for, you know, social standing and stuff. Like it is a very good setting, I think, for this kind of a story. But yeah, as I was reading some of this stuff, I was just like, man, oh man. Some rumors he's hoarding anima and like all this stuff is so like bang out of Shadowlands, and WoW's not in the greatest place right now.
This is the longest I've gone since playing World of Warcraft since Warlords of Draenor. So yeah, I was a little like, oh no, we're doing Shadowlands. But actually, after the trailer, I'm completely on board. I love this. The theming's really good. And really, I'm just thankful that no one that we talked to on the team, I'm so glad none of you were like, hey, what do you think it is after the Denathria's teaser? Because I would have just been so mad. Because I'm like, yet again, a perfect example of Hearthstone is impossible to guess. Who was out there being like, it's going to be a murder mystery in Castle Nat? Like, literally no one can guess that. So thank you. Thank you for not asking me that question, because I would have been grumpy. Because this is impossible to guess.
Which is what makes it so good, and I do love when they do stuff like this, because it's like it's still on theme without like being too far out there. They're taking Warcraft stuff but not, you know, reproducing Warcraft exactly. Like I felt like some of the expansions last year were a little bit too on the nose with, you know, like Baron, Stormwind, and Alterac. Like they felt very ripped from vanilla. This feels back to Hearthstone doing Hearthstone things.
Yeah.
It's last year was clearly like they planned the arc when Classic WoW launched and all of a sudden did well. And they were like, well, we should do that for a year. And they did that for a year. And I think it's a good idea. But yeah, it was pretty on the nose and didn't like I'm glad we had the mercenaries to connect with, the character mercenaries. Because I didn't gel with the setting too much. I played WoW in Legion. But that was pretty much it. That was the only expansion that I really like mainlined, and I did the first tier of BFA, and then I was done. So the settings aren't like super resonant with me, but the characters were cool, and I like the writing. And now I agree, we're back to what if we took this thing that technically exists in WoW, but do a Hearthstone-y thing, and you don't need to have played WoW at all. I was aware that Sire Denathrius existed, but I didn't know anything about Revendreth or Covenants or whatever.
But you knew that you called him Daddy, right?
That's all you really need to know.
I knew other people called him Daddy, and I knew there was probably a reason for this. So,
what if I told you that he tells you to crawl to me on your knees?
Kind of weird. Like, I mean, I get what the shtick that the character is going for, but like, I don't know. I'm not about it. But the expansion looks fun.
We learned
I've been watching a lot
today
of Columbo lately, so I'm all about murder mysteries.
You're just not all about getting domed today.
I'm gonna choose not to answer that on the show.
Fair. What if we get like 10 new patrons by next week?
I do expect a lot of skins along the lines of the Kael'thas skin that we have from Battlegrounds.
I believe you meant you expect a lot of skin.
Yes, very much so. This is going to be a thirsty expansion.
Yeah.
As long as it's not Murloc Holmes. Don't need to see him in his
oh boy
dungeon attire.
And does he wear a cod piece?
Oh god.
Because it's like a fish, but also...
You know, you can't help but try to picture how that would work, and oh my god.
You won. I laughed. There's no need to explain further.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I want to go watch Labyrinth for some reason.
Dance magic dance.
There.
All right. So let's talk about the cards that have been revealed so far. I'm just going to go in order of what's on the blog post. So if you want to follow along because you're an audio only listener, you can. Also, if you're a video watcher, because I had my computer die and I haven't set back up the image overlay. So we're all getting the podcast experience today. But
Hooray!
yeah, so the big theme is murder mystery in Castle Nathria. Denathrius is dead, and Murloc Holmes is here to suss it out. And most of our class legendaries are suspects in the murder, and they're all over the place. They're picked from all kinds of different corners of Warcraft and Hearthstone lore. But the very first card in the lineup, if you go look at the announcement post on the official Hearthstone website right now, is Murloc Holmes himself. A 3-mana 3/4 legendary neutral Murloc with Battlecry that reads, solve 3 clues about your opponent's cards to get copies of them. When I originally saw this card before watching the video, I thought to myself, this Battlecry could say, do things, and it would be just as useful as the card text on this card. Pretty interesting how it actually functions. If you go watch yourself the longer reveal video where everyone is dressed like detectives with fantastic mustaches in tow, they show Murloc Holmes in action, and it's 3 discovers that happen one after the other. This is an absolute APM card because you first have to discover from 3 cards and guess which one was in the opening hand of your opponent. If you get that right, then the next one is you have to guess what's in their hand right now. So another discover of 3, like you got to guess the right one. And if you get that right, then you get another discover 3. And you have to guess what's in their deck right now. If you get them all right, you get copies of all those cards added to your hand.
But if you mess any of them up, no cards for you. But it's still a 3-mana 3/4, so not horrible. Kind of basic stats.
Yeah.
And if their hand is empty, it just skips steps 2. So you would not do that discover, and then you would only get 2 cards.
Still value to be gained.
Same with deck. So if they have an empty deck and you play Murloc Holmes, then you don't do that discover.
Oh, good to know.
If for some reason you've gone to fatigue and you're like, Murloc Holmes will save me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're always gonna, because they're always gonna have an opening hand, right? So you're always gonna get 1, assuming you guess right.
You're always going to get 1 chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very good distinction. You get 1 chance. And when you get it wrong, then you get as many curses as you would like to throw at the screen. Mm-hmm. That's what you would like to do. This is gonna be like that card where you're like, oh no, I ended up against some person that's just playing a meme deck I've never seen before, and I have no idea what's in their deck.
This is gonna end up being a card that is in your collection and not your decks. But if it hits on 3, it'll be on Trollden, so that'll be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we got to see some of the legendary suspects, which means we've seen one of the shaman legendaries already, Baroness Vaj, 4-mana 3/6 Naga. Got that new Naga tag. If this would transform into a minion, summon that minion instead. So your evolve style effects, but also things like polymorph or hex, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, anything that would change what she is into something else. She stays the same and you get the something else too. So the 1/1 sheep or the frog or whatever.
I like the message this sends. You don't need to change for anybody else. You're perfect the way you are.
But feel free to make a copy of what you're thinking about changing into and add it to your board.
It's kind of like there's got to be some platitude about like being friends with the person you wish you were, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's when you evolve her, she makes a 5-drop and she stays. When you hex her, she makes a 0/1 taunt and she stays. When you polymorph her, she makes a 1/1 sheep and she stays. So it's pretty hard to parse the text. A lot of questions about it, but basically you want to use her with evolves to make 5-drops and you keep her around, and then she is hex and polymorph proof. I can't think if there are too many other transform effects in standard. I'm sure there's something.
Well, I think there's some polymorph like there was polymorph boar, and wasn't there some other polymorph
The
something?
jellyfish. There's the
Yeah,
jellyfish.
yeah,
Lily pad lurker. Sure, there's something else. I
yeah,
don't
which
know.
is basically a hex built in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's been a decent amount of evolve board wide style effects.
There's one in this set.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
mass polymorph.
in Wild, would like things like Faceless Manipulator count? Or that wouldn't really do. Well, that doesn't
transforms
transform.
into this.
Yeah, it
That's right.
transforms itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't transform the
But
target.
Unstable evolution makes a lot of fives. Makes a lot of fives.
Oh, you're right.
Makes fives on the turn after.
Okay. Did we mention mass polymorph already? Yes, I definitely went to a wiki page for all transform effects.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Wonderful. That's pretty much it, I think. There's a lot of other cards that transform, but not a target thing. They transform themselves, like druid cards, stuff like that. So that wouldn't play into Baroness Vosh. I love this card. I've always really liked Evolve as a card effect, or as just an effect in general. This is a really cool spin on a classic Hearthstone effect.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
I really like this. I think it's really interesting, and I like seeing that kind of devolve stuff in Shaman. It's been long enough, I think, for me since everything has been evolvey devolvey. It's been a while since they've done that, so I'm ready for it to come back.
And prior effects, they were exploited by things like Mogu Flesh Shaper, where you were getting something super huge super early in the game. This can never evolve into anything that costs more than 5. It is
Right.
impossible to evolve into anything larger. You can evolve the thing that you make, but it's just a lot more value to continually target Vash, which means it's always 5s. And a bunch of 5s are good, but it's not the same as when you play Mogu
An
and
early
evolve
9 or
into
something. Yeah.
yeah. Like Mogu would just get you an 8 drop on turn 3, and the game would it would be an Alakir, and the game would be over.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen here.
Giving me mad flashbacks to the Windlord. We also got a preview of the Warrior Legendary, Decimator Olgra, 6 mana, 3/7. No tag here, because Ogre, or no, not Ogre. Orc is not a minion type. But Battlecry gain +1/+1 for each damaged minion, then attack all enemies.
This seems fun.
She mirrors the stats of Angry Mancrick, and that tickles me.
Yeah.
I'm tickled.
I wanted more jokes like this from Shadowlands.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool card. Like it counts your own minions for the buff, and then it hits everything they own, including the face. And it should work the way Reckless Experimenter works in terms of targeting. So it should hit face first, unless they were Maestra and summoned a minion first, because then it's timestamp order, and then the hero was less new. Anyway, doesn't matter. It usually hits face first, and then it should hit all minions in play order. Teams like Deathwing, Mad Aspect was 8 mana 12/12 that did this sort of thing, and was very powerful. This will depend on how easy it is to scale, but it could theoretically be a board clear and damage and a body, and if that's what happens, we're pretty happy about that. But if the damage minion part is hard to get, then this card isn't a thing.
Yeah, I feel like you have to kind of be trying to do some sort of enragey stuff, right? Like you have to kind of create that warrior deck with that purpose. I mean, a lot of Hearthstone right now, I don't feel like in my games I'm leaving a whole bunch of damage stuff just lying around.
Yeah, we'd need to do some whirlwindy stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, like, there's cards for that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and if you're going to have that kind of a payoff on turn 6, I feel like that's a really... She seems really powerful. Again, if you build a deck around her, and turn 6 doesn't seem too late. There seems to be like effects like this that can potentially be so powerful and maybe give you a really big minion. They tend to, I feel like, cost more. Like I would have expected to see 7 or 8 on this and then go, she's cool, but she's way too late. Like 6, I'm raising an eyebrow.
There's one that I can think of that costs less than this that's been very good for a while. Blade Master Samuro.
Mm.
Samuro's good, but you have to work a little harder to get him bigger, but it's powerful, and in neutral. So this is somewhere between that, somewhere between a Deathwing, somewhere in the middle. They really want Enrage Warrior to happen again,
Mm-hmm.
even though they deleted the mechanic of Enrage. So if you can make that happen, then this is a card that goes in that deck. I'm not sure it enables that deck, but it makes me want to do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me at least want to try the archetype again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just freaking out because I'm watching my upload just tank, but it's back now.
Hooray!
Fingers crossed. Anyways,
shall we keep going? Is everything okay?
I think it's fine. I was about to call a pause, but now we're back and it's holding. So yeah, I think Olgra seems really cool. I'm not personally whirlwinding right now, but this card is decent enough to make me think about wanting to. And I think that's what they're aiming for with Olgra. I think they want you to raise that eyebrow, Joce.
Yeah.
And now we get
Can you raise one eyebrow? Can you do it? I can. Do both.
Nope.
You can't raise one eyebrow.
I did not on purpose. Not when I think about it too much. Yeah. I'm sure I have at some point.
To the audio listeners, we're currently.
I just feel like I look constipated. This doesn't.
Wait.
It doesn't
Nailed
work
it.
if you use your fingers. That's cheating.
You didn't say. You just said, "Can I raise one eyebrow?" And I did.
Listen, there's an implication. The way you raise your eyebrow makes me raise an eyebrow, Joce.
Yeah.
Look at you, all fancy.
Is it fancy to raise an eyebrow?
I want to point out, Nula Gaming said in chat.
Now.
Yep.
Great content for audio listeners. I want to point out, audio listeners, just assume that we're barely functional human bodies. And just don't know how to make except Garrett can do the one eyebrow thing. And Joce and I are just incapable of individual movement.
My eyes hurt now. I was doing it too
now
much.
I'm just doing my nose. I don't know how my nose is involved, but
we learned today that Joce has the powers of a rabbit, and I'm now going to talk about a new keyword called infuse. And the way infuse works is that, well, cards with infuse are going to sit in your hand and they absorb anima, which is a 4-letter word as far as I'm concerned, from your friendly minions as they die after whatever the specified number of friendly minions die. While the infused card is in your hand, the infused cards transform into more powerful versions. So we got 2 examples of this card. One is a new rogue spell called Door of Shadows. It is a 1-mana rare shadow spell for rogue that reads, draw a spell, infuse 2, add a temporary copy of it to your hand.
So if this is the infused version, that means you're always going to draw the spell, but you're going to get a second copy that you have to play before the end of the turn.
Yes. You draw the spell no matter what. You can play this in turn 1, draw a spell, yeah. But if 2 minions die while you're holding this, then whatever you draw, you get a bonus copy that turn, and then it's use it or lose it.
Mm-hmm. We should also just clarify friendly minions. So you only gather anima to infuse your cards when your friendly minions die.
Yeah.
Important
This
distinction.
is not Corridor Creeper.
Yeah.
Is anything really anymore, including Corridor Creeper? Okay.
There's no. Yeah.
Okay.
Nah. It's like I thought about what it would look like if Corridor Creeper was. You could make a card that's like every time you infuse this card, it gets 1 mana cheaper. They might have something like that. They might do a reference to Corridor Creeper. But thankfully, that card was weird as hell, and they don't do minions that die period anymore.
How do you feel about infuse just in general? Like, do you prefer this to hold card until X turn and it gets more powerful?
I think this feels more proactive, so I think I like it more. Like, if I know that next turn I'm going to want to play Door of Shadows, and I have enough mana to probably make use of whatever I draw, or maybe I know what spell is in my deck and I want an extra copy, or whatever the case is. Like if I know that I want to play Door of Shadows next turn, I feel like I can maybe trade in my minions instead of going face, and there's like a choice to be made there. And I like choice as opposed to, when it was just like at 5 mana level up, at 10 mana level up. Like there were a lot of situations I found with those type of cards where, like it would be turn 4, which would be the perfect time to use the thing, except it's not quite there yet. And then by turn 5, it's like, oh man, now I'm in this terrible situation because I couldn't do that last turn. Whereas, like, if there's something like Infuse where I can trade in a couple minions and then do the thing I need to do when I need to do it, that to me is more exciting and a better thing. But at the same time, like, with Infuse, there's kind of that push pull because you're kind of like sacrificing your board, which may or may not be a good choice. Like, again, it comes down to choice. There's stuff to do and choices to make of how you want to play the game and how you want to use these cards. And I like that a lot. Reminds me
Yeah.
of like just any of the cards that we've had, the like do the thing and then it upgrades in your hand. Like we've had these before. It just has it like Infuse is very specifically tied to friendly minions dying, right? Not casting spells or whatever.
Well, and that's pretty important too, because when they've talked about wanting a board-based meta, you know how you make a board-based meta? Reward people for having minions and give them something even when the minions die.
Hmm.
That's how you push board, is by saying, hey, if you play stuff, even if it dies, we'll help you out. It's just like they worked in a mechanic to give us a little bonus if we help them make a board-based meta. Like, yo, you play some minions, we're gonna hook you up. We're gonna help you
Are
out.
they bribing us? Is that okay? Is that allowed?
It's
Yes.
incentivizing playing stuff on board instead of stuff from hand. I think that's a good. I'm not pro bribery, but I like where we're headed.
If it could get to the point where they just start giving us money to say the meta's good, I'd really appreciate it.
The legend of the shill check may
Mm,
finally, yeah.
one of these days.
It is. It is. I don't think we're at any risk of that coming true, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, there's one more infused card we got to see, which is Precept the Deceased. Just like the name of this card. It's a 2-mana, 2/3 common neutral minion with taunt. Infuse 3, gain +2/+2. So they're going to become a 4 or 5. And by the way, I don't think we've mentioned, I've seen the chat in chat, but I don't think we've actually mentioned on the podcast itself. Infuse is a one-time thing. It transforms, it becomes a new upgraded version of the card, and it no longer has infused in the card text. So you can't just keep pumping these cards, whether you would want to or not. Doesn't matter. Can't do it. So
Yeah, I feel like that could, especially something like Door of Shadows, where it's like you're drawing something and getting a bunch of copies. That could potentially get out of hand very quickly.
it would,
So,
because it's rogue and it's a 1-mana spell.
exactly.
Like, this would just
Rogues do rogue stuff. Yeah, exactly. And so, whereas I think like Priest of the Deceased is a little bit more balanced in that way. Like, I mean, you have to, 3 things have to die to get +2/+2 on this thing. So I don't think that could maybe get out of hand as quickly, but I mean, it is still 2 mana. So you're getting a 2 mana 4/5, right? If you infuse this minion. So that's not too shabby.
Yeah. El Bardo in the chat room's asking, do we think there will be a card that can infuse multiple times? I could see it. Card text would get a little bloated. But
I mean,
they could do
they
it.
made horrendous growth for corrupt, where it was the 2-mana 2/2 that could corrupt any number of times. I bet they could do it. I bet they will do it. Might be in this set, might be in the mini set, but like it seems like pretty easy design space to tap into if they want. Um, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and I bet it would be cool to. Well, they actually already did that once. Do you remember Blood Herald? Do either of you remember Blood
Not at
Herald?
all.
It is a Scholomance card, Demon Hunter Hunter, a 5-mana 1/1, gets +1/+1 for each minion that's died while this is in your hand. It was the lowest possible roll off Jandis Baroff. It was a 1/1. But that was technically the first infuse card. Or actually, technically the first infuse card was Bolvar 4 Dragon.
You
We're going-
you were not wrong.
That was that GVG?
Bolvar was
Bolvar TGT?
He was GVG. I had to Google him. I thought I thought Bolvar was Frozen Throne, but no, you're absolutely right. It was GVG.
That was the Bolvar Fireblood was in
Yeah.
KFT.
Bolvar 4-Dragon was a 5-mana 1/5 whenever a friendly minion dies while this is in your hand game +1 attack. So this one could keep going.
1/7.
Yeah, this could keep going though. It was
the first multi-infused card was in GVG and was also unplayably bad.
I was so excited when I opened this card.
I cannot emphasize how bad this card is.
I was so excited when I opened it.
This kind of reminds me of Spellburst, right? Like it's a powerful effect, but it happens one time. Like it's so much more controllable than something that you can do over and over and over again, right? Like so they can say, here's your 2/2 buff, or here's your extra card, or whatever. You get it one time. And then they can make more powerful effects on these infused cards. And we've only seen 2. I'm sure there's many more.
So
also, Priest of the Deceased, same pose as Priest of the Feast, and the flavor text said funnel cakes. I haven't had those in so long.
Oh no! Priest of the Feast has died, everybody.
That makes me sad.
Priest of the Feast has died. Although, I mean, at this point, how many Priests of the Feast have died on board?
Like 1 billion.
Priest of the Feast had clearly had more lives than your average cat. That's what I'm trying to say. Choked on a funnel cake, says Kajitar. That's dark. That's dark.
Yeah, that's very dark.
That was a lot of words without saying whether we like this card or not. I'd like to point out. Are we excited about Priest of the Deceased? This seems like ripe for a token deck to me.
Play it in
Yeah,
arena.
maybe. I was gonna say, like, it is a neutral, right? And that's whenever we see neutral cards with the new keywords, they're usually pretty low power. So
yeah, this is asking a bunch for a 2-mana 4/5 taunt, which is, it's not as hard to get as it used to be. It's not free, but like you're not playing this early. You're not killing someone with this. It is a defensive card if your stuff has already died. It is a pretty rough top deck. Like Infuse 3 is a big ask, right? 3 minions have to die. You draw this on turn 5 or whatever. You're like, I don't know.
You want it early, but you won't be able to trigger it early in a lot of cases. And taking up an early game slot in your hand makes that early trigger harder.
Now that I think about it, it makes a lot of sense why they nerfed Battle-Worn Vanguard and Demon Hunter, because that makes a lot of Infusey boys.
Just keep nerfing Demon Hunter. That's all I want to see.
Yeah. Still good, by the way.
Unfortunately, yes.
should we talk about locations? Because this is like freaking
Kinda
huge.
crazy.
Yeah,
I
this
hear
is
it's
like we haven't had
important.
something like this since hero cards, right?
This made me realize how I pine to design UI for cards again. So I was like, oh my God, there's a new frame shape in Hearthstone. I can't remember. I guess I can Mercenaries, but who cares? Yeah, this is nuts. We have a new card type, which was teased, but here it is. Locations are played onto the battlefield for an initial cost, and they have an ability that can be activated for free on your turns. And they have some sort of effect. They have a durability amount associated with them. So every time you activate the location, the durability goes down, but you can only activate them once per turn. So at most, you're losing 1 durability per turn. And we've seen 2 of them as a result of this announcement. So Sanguine Depths is for Warrior. Joce, did you say you wanted ways to damage your own minions?
I did say that.
Cool. Well, Sanguine Depths is a 1 mana 3 durability location, which is something I have to say now. It's also
You're
rare.
gonna have to wrap your tongue around that one.
Yeah, and the activated effect on this location, I'm figuring out how to phrase this as I am speaking, is deal 1 damage to a minion and give it +1 attack.
As far as I understand locations, it's kind of like a bonus hero power that you can use every other turn. So you can use it the turn that you play it. You use it, and then it's like it gets like summoning sickness for the next turn.
It's got a cooldown.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah. It's got a great
It's
little animation where
unavailable.
it's got an animation where it basically like locks up.
Yeah.
This isn't clear at all, by the way, from the text. Like, I understand that we'll get it when we play with it, but 1 turn cooldown in the patch notes, I wish it had just said, like, can't be used the turn after
2
you
turns in a
use
row
your
or
wisdom.
something, or
Something
yeah.
like, I don't know. I actually can't think of a good phrasing here, so maybe 1 turn cooldown is the best
Well,
one. But
wait, hold
it's
up. Hold up. You can't use it on the next turn?
No, that's
Holy
the cooldown
crap.
part. So you can
Yeah.
you use it when you play it, and then you skip a turn, and you could use it again. You skip a turn, you can use it again.
You can't use these multiple turns in a row.
Yes.
That is the important part. It's that
Can't be used on consecutive turns. Thanks,
There you
Pandemonium
go.
in the
1
chat
turn
room.
cooldown means nothing.
Yeah, 1
This is
turn
why
cooldown.
I said it was unclear.
Yeah, almost it made me think like that I can like a weapon unless you have Wind Fury or something, but like you get to do it once per turn, not 3 times in a turn, and use up all its durability. That's how I initially read 1 turn cooldown.
All right. Well, now I'm grumpy. That's dumb. That's dumb. There has got to be a better way to communicate that information.
Well, and I
Play
mean,
with the
yeah,
card.
then
I don't know.
the thing is like
So I'm going to play a location and they just bring up the announcement video that explains how locations work and it just plays.
Yeah,
There are going to be so many tweets at poor Deck Tech the day this launches of my location is bugged. I used it 1 turn and it wouldn't work the next turn.
By the way, he's on
Not a
vacation. Do not add him right now. Leave him alone.
What Garrett said. This way. So yeah, it's really important to look at them with the context here. Also, it's important to note the symbol in the bottom right is durability, but it has an armor plate behind it. You do not gain armor here. It's just an indicator for how long this card lasts. When it hits, it takes up board space. When it hits 0, durability goes away.
yeah, and it's unkillable, right? Like your opponent can't run a minion into it and kill it.
Cora
Correct.
said can't be interacted with unless a card specifically says so. So
Okay,
I'm
so we
sure
might
there
have
will
like
be
clear a location or something, like destroy an enemy location.
It's
or
going to
something
be
like that.
Harrison Jones, dead Harrison Jones. Destroy a location and draw cards for durability. Yep.
Yeah. It's acidic swamp realtor. I don't know.
Oh
Wow.
my freaking God. That was wonderful. That's your best joke. That's your best joke in a long time, Hat.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, so these do sit on the board. They are things you have to like click and drag to a target. They take up a minion spot, but they can't be like, so if you had 4 things, chat room's asking if it can be mind controlled. So like, no. So this would work the same as like a dormant minion. You can't do stuff to it.
Or Juggernaut. Probably close to Juggernaut.
Now I'm just assuming every single card that interacts with a location will be called Realtor. So who knows? Maybe we'll get Psychic Realtor, which mind control target location.
Ooh.
Steal
target location for a turn or something.
Yeah. What was the priest card that did it for 1 turn?
Potion of Madness.
Wasn't there an older one that was on a stick?
Shadow Madness.
Was it Shadow Madness? Why was I thinking it was on a minion? Anyway.
Probably was. I don't know.
Yeah. There's been so many cards at this point.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We talked pre-show about Hearthstone reaching new levels of complexity more in trying to decipher what a card means simply by looking at the card. And I want to point out that this is a nitpick because I think locations are really cool. What I'm about to say is a nitpick. But in terms of being able to decipher a card by just looking at it, locations seem like they just went, we give up. We think this is cool. We're not even going to try to actually tell you what this does and how it behaves.
Well, I mean, to be fair, to play devil's advocate here, I think that like because it's a new card type, like hero cards, minions themselves, like spells, weapons. Like none of them explain what a minion is on the card. None of them explain what happens, like your hero gets replaced. Like that's just the thing that happens when you play that type of card. So I think like if every single one of these locations had all of how locations work on it, like it wouldn't really be consistent with how any card game works. Like there are some mechanics that you're just expected to know, and I think card types is one of those.
Yeah.
It's going to say
It's
one turn cooldown
weapons
on
don't
hover
say-
over, and I'm going to go.
It'll probably say something like, it'll probably use the dormant text, right? Like wakes up in one turn or something like that, because you're basically, you're actually just making it go dormant. That's what you're doing when you use
Yeah.
it, right? It's you use it and then it goes dormant, can't be used next turn, then wakes up the turn after, and then you can use it right away. They probably just reuse all the dormant stuff.
I see Jocelyn typing. I know exactly what. Yep, there it is. That's exactly what I thought you were typing. Sorry, complete sub. I just subtweeted my own podcast. Anyway, all fair defenses. I'm so thrown for a loop on the one turn cooldown, meaning actual like non-consecutive turns. That I'm a big. Now I know that. Thank God I'm on this podcast because I didn't know that at all.
Well, and I think it kind of, and I think so. Each class is going to get a location, right? Because it looks like Sanguine Depths. Okay, so I guess here's the question: Sanguine Depths looks like warrior. Muck Pools looks like shaman. Okay, because
it
I
is.
mean, because they also mentioned covenants, and so like. Would this be Venthyr and would this be Night Fae? Like,
does it matter?
The Covenant stuff, what they're alluding to. So non-WoW players, I had to look this up today, as in also non-WoW players. In the current
there are 4
WoW
covenants in
expansion,
Shadowlands.
Yep. So there are 4 covenants. There are 10 something. There are whatever number of classes there are in WoW right now. 12? 12 classes?
I think it's 12.
The 10 in Hearthstone plus Death Knight and Monk.
Yeah.
12. Yeah. You pick a covenant.
Soon to be 13.
And then, oh yeah, the dragon thing.
The dragon only dragon thing. You can only be a dragon if you want to be a dragon. I hope you like dragons because it's the only thing that can be a dragon.
Did we tell you our next expansion is dragons?
By the way, if you want a dragon to be anything else, you're out of luck.
Ambiguous what the next class is going to be. Anyways, so in the current expansion, you pick one of the 4 covenants, and then you get a class specific ability based on the covenant that you pick. So there are like for Hearthstone purposes, there's probably going to be a legendary minion cycle where they've all picked one of those 4, and then the card will reflect that somehow. But it's not tied into locations. The locations are representing the alibi for the suspect. So
okay,
where the suspect was, allegedly.
Right. Okay. So Olgra couldn't possibly have killed Denathrius because she was in Sanguine Depths at the time.
I don't know if she's the suspect, but if she was, then yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, I thought they said the legendary minions were the suspects at the dinner party. Anyways,
they are
really
literally
matter.
under a header that says 10 suspicious suspects.
They are.
In the announcement
That's
post.
correct. Yes.
However, one of them is Murloc Holmes, which the plot thickens if Murloc Holmes is a suspect.
That's going to be the twist at the end, is it was none of the dinner party guests, and it was actually Murloc Holmes, and he was just bored and wanted a murder to solve, and he's like, well, I can make a murder.
It's the greatest, yes, my greatest challenge yet, to catch myself.
Yeah.
Would we like to talk about muck pools? Because I'm really excited about this card. I'm super excited about muck pools. So muck pools is a 1 mana, 3 durability, rare shaman location, which reads transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. Who would I possibly like to cast this on, Baroness Bosch?
Yes.
So this is why I'm really glad there is a cooldown, because of specifically Vosh, because otherwise it would be a free 5 drop on turns 4, 5, and 6. And I think that would be silly, because you just play this on 1 and chill, and then you play Vosh
Right,
on
because
4,
it can't be
immediately
killed,
pop.
as far as we know.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it getting removed. You don't have to worry about your opponent interacting with it in some way. Again, asterisks as far as we know.
The way Cora phrased the, like, unless it specifies, makes me feel like confirmed things are coming that are going to mess with your locations. It's going to be like Shadowlands Bulldozer. It's going to be a card that can just wreck your locations.
There will be something, right? Like, there will definitely be something, but I don't know how good these are going to be. And also, they're 1-drop, so it's entirely possible that the effects are done by the time that you get the tech card. Who knows? But either way, the Evolve one, Muck Pools, I'm really, really glad that's every other turn and not 3 turns in a row, because that would be excessive for Evolve. Like, we had 2 turns in a row with Bogspine Knuckles, and that was gross. Sanguine Depths is a sketchy card because when you look at 3 mutates from Muck Pools versus 3 half inner rages, those aren't really the same power level. So they really need to make sure that they get the enrage thing right. And Frenzy was the mechanic in Barons, and that didn't land. Like, really much at all. And Sanguine Depths is a Frenzy card, but it can't be a Frenzy minion with Rush, so it can't be the good ones, which is Samuro and Anchorman. So it has to be like Torajo Brave, Kresh. We're talking Razormane Raider. We're talking cards that Garrett forgot existed.
Screw you too, buddy.
Well, and I mean, like, okay, so also because chat room's agreeing with you, Hat. Chat room saying, yeah, warrior card is bad. This is terrible, not on the same level, blah blah blah, whatever. But I mean, we just had a conversation recently about how Warrior's been kind of good for kind of a while. We'd be okay if maybe Warrior wasn't around quite as much. So,
and also if they wanted,
think it's okay.
Like, and if they wanted it to be viable again, they probably don't want it to be viable in the way that it's been viable for this entire time. Like, this is Sanguine Depths isn't going to be a pirate card.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this is a pirate card, we all be frothing at the
rage,
mouth.
you need this card anyways. Like, you want this. So if that's what they did, this is controlled, unlike Iceblood Garrison, which is just abominably bad. It's really, really bad. Iceblood Garrison wishes it was this card because it's at the end of your own turn is the worst possible time because your opponent could play around in their turn, and then you have to wait till after you've done all your trades and all your stuff to get your free whirlwind. It's just bad. Whereas this, there's control over it. You can decide what you want to do. You can dictate where you want the attack to go. I mean, there's something here. But we have to see a lot of payoff cards for it as opposed to the Shaman one, which is, it's pretty clear how that one's going to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for both of them, in the defense, they showcased legendaries that synergize with these locations in very obvious ways. It's just that Sanguine Depths needs something else to damage for Olgra, and Muck Pools can just target Vaj and profit.
Yeah, that's all you need is pools and profit.
I like that. And we were also previewed / just given a legendary today, Prince Renathal.
Boy.
Yeah, Prince Renathal is here. This is going to be a conversation. This could be its own episode. It's just this conversation we're about to try and have in a brief amount of time. But Prince Renathal is a 3-mana 3/4 legendary neutral minion. Reads your deck size and starting health are 40.
Priests rejoice.
And you can get him free right now just by logging into the game. Because we got a patch today.
I saw a lot of people complaining about how this was pay to win and everyone was going to want to play this card. And I was like, you don't have to pay though. All you got to do is log in.
How is it pay to win?
It's not pay to win. They just thought that they had to get it. They thought it was free.
God, did Diablo Immortal make us that sensitive? We're like, oh, okay, everything's pay to win. I'm like,
so many 800% jokes you wouldn't even believe.
Okay, first of all, you're playing Hearthstone.
Yeah.
We pay to win here and we accept it.
But you can't pay for this card and it doesn't make you win, so it's 2.
I am aware. I am aware. Sorry, I'm just, Yeah.
Oh, were there esports this weekend? I watched Lobby Legends last weekend.
There's a Masters tour on Friday.
There was a Masters tour. Oh, those
Josh, what is happening to you? This is 2 weeks in a row where you're like, what's happening with esports? Is anything going on with esports?
Honestly, it's my disconnect from the internet. It doesn't have anything to do with my interest in Hearthstone esports. It's just like I don't like being on the internet right now.
That sounds
so I'm
peaceful.
Basically not.
It sounds peaceful.
and honestly, Snap has helped with that so much. Every time I pick up my phone, instead of like going to Twitter, I'm like, I'll just Snap. This is great.
The game, right? You're not advocating for a godlike villain to just snap you out of existence for a few years?
Well, I could use a break.
Yeah, that actually sounds kind of nice.
As long as I knew I was going to come back.
Listen. I just want to go dormant for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like a location. Just take every
dormant.
other turn off.
This podcaster awakens in 3 years. Like, can we just give me some time, and then I'll wake up and decide if I want to go straight back to being dormant again.
Exactly. But yeah, so anyways, I don't blame Hearthstone esports. I don't think, like, I watched some Lobby Legends last weekend and I thought it was really good. But yeah, I didn't realize that there was a Master Tour. I thought people were talking about, because I did see a couple of messages about this, or about esports in general. And I thought they were talking about the expansion release on August 2nd. I didn't realize they were talking about this in game now. And I was just like, wow, they're really just getting ahead of this whole, like, you hate esports Hearthstone kind of storyline that's going on. But no, this sucks so bad.
So,
like, why didn't you just wait till next Monday? Tell us it's coming and wait.
I have a question I would like to pose that I'm sure does not lead to a long answer from RidiculousHat.
Leaning back in my chair, audio listeners. I leaned back.
Do we even want to play 40 cards?
Maybe.
And just leave it at that.
Okay. So
we also would have accepted it depends.
That's the Into the Nexus tagline, which
I know.
Listen, I realize that game now gets updates as frequently as Overwatch, but let's be kind.
So, listeners, if you have a strong opinion about Renathal and you think it is obvious, you are wrong. There's nothing obvious about this card. If you think this card is obviously bad or obviously good, comment down. We don't know. I'm just start playing with it. Very brief anecdotal experience. I played 4 games with Fell Demon Hunter today because I wanted to test how relevant is Renathal. I played against 2 decks with 30 cards in them, and I lost both those games. Then I played against 2 decks with 40 cards in them, and I won both those games by turn 9. So I beat the Renathal decks and lost to the regular decks. Now, 4-game sample size, small thing, but it's Fell Demon Hunter. I care about doing damage to the opponent. They had 10 more life, and they died quickly because their cards are worse. It's complicated. So I don't love the impact this has in the Masters Tour because the amount of testing that's going to be required here is substantial, significant. I will point out this Masters Tour does set up August 2nd is 10 days before the Masters Tour on August 12th. Great window, 10 days, perfect, wonderful, fantastic. 3 days here, 4 days, less great. So I would like a little bit more time there. Anyways, you're going to hear from veteran card players adding more cards to your deck makes your deck worse. That is true. That is a true statement.
That was my gut reaction.
Yes. And you're not wrong.
Yeah, my gut brain journey was, if this also said you can have 3 copies of non-legendaries, I'd be like, I'm a little more interested.
Yeah.
I don't think that they would ever be able to do that, though, just because of, like, the deck limit has always been, like, 1 or 2, depending on card rarity, and that, destroy extras button exists. Like, it's a mass disenchant.
Listen, if they're gonna let a little thing like almost a
like
decade
the fact that I've destroyed
of me shredding,
crafting economy is crap for the player.
You put Renathal in your deck, everything
angry tweets.
Everything that you can add an extra card of highlights, and you just click it to add a freebie 3rd copy of non-legendaries. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to explain.
We should be clear. This is not how this works.
Not how it works. This is
same deck rules apply. Just you now have 10 more cards you can play with, and yeah, you guys are right that diluting your it's not necessarily diluting your deck because you can potentially put in more tools, more tech, whatever. But it's, I guess, diluting your draw is a better way. Like every single time you draw a card, you have a smaller chance to get the thing that you need.
So this is really, really impactful on the first 5 turns of the game, and it's where you should consider adding this card. It's the first 5 turns of the game are the most important turns in Hearthstone. It is where aggro exists, and aggro is a small slice of the strategies available in Hearthstone, and probably about half the games you will play because Hearthstone is such a proactive, initiative-focused game. If you think about this from the standpoint of Magic the Gathering or any other game like that, those are defender-favored games, which is why the life totals are lower, as opposed to Hearthstone, which is a proactive, favorable game, which is why life totals are higher. Right? You're better off just doing stuff because your minions can either kill other minions or kill the opponent. Whereas when you're playing defender games, then they can just choose how they block and they can just do what they want. So the first 5 turns matter a lot because your card quality those turns are going to be dramatically reduced when you add 10 more cards to your deck that you otherwise wouldn't have played, and one of them is a spider tank, and the other 9 cards, whatever. Um, you're not going to have time to draw more cards in that window. So you need the 10 life to save you during that window, assuming that you would have died without the 10 life. So if you're something like Ramp Druid, your aggressive matchups are so bad that the extra cards don't matter because your early game sucks against them anyways. 10 more life makes a big difference there because you're going to survive without doing anything. So you just play your ramp cards anyway. It's like power leveling in BGs when they added armor, right? It's the same sort of thing. If you were already a power level hero, then this just is an upside for you because you get to play more stuff to do later and you already were forfeiting the early game. If you were a deck that cared about playing stuff on curve, specific stuff on time, you really don't want this. Really, really don't want this. Big Spell Mage is a deck that I don't even think that 20 of the cards in that 30 card deck currently are good enough to see play. But you care because Belinda, Barbaric Sorceress, Mailbox Dancer, and then the spells that you're looking for. If you were to add, I don't know what other neutral crap minions you could add to the deck, but you're looking for the things that make the big spells cheaper. You need specific cards. So the 10 life isn't going to help you because you're going to give that all back and then more. So Curse Warlock seems to be a winner here because it just wants a little bit more time, then it gets the curses going, and it can take advantage of the extra life. Druid seems to be a winner. A lot of people are trying it in Priest. It's actually ironically good in Quest decks because your turn 1 is set anyway, so you always draw the quest. But there are no good Quest decks right now. And Quest Priest, you will see a lot of Quest Priest on ladder. Still not a good deck. It's gonna stay that way. And you really don't want to see Curse Warlocks because they will just fill your hand the turn you're supposed to draw the shard, and then you will burn the shard if you don't die from the curses. Um, but yeah, you have to really take advantage of those first 5 developmental turns, and it has to be because of it has to not be because of the cards you're adding to the deck. It has to be because of the 10 life.
Mm.
So it's really difficult to figure out where that's going to land. I think it'll end up being a thing in a couple decks here and there, but this is not going to be something that permanently defines the meta. And it really isn't about slowing the meta down because it's already part of strategies that the decks that would use this already have the strategies in standard. It just makes them a little bit more resilient from being rushed down. But they still probably aren't controlling the board in that time. So they need to have a really big power spike when they get to where they're going.
Chat room's mentioning a couple of different quest hunter, quest warrior, and I think that the point that Hat's trying to make, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that those decks don't need this. This would work in a quest deck, but you don't really like quest warrior doesn't need 10 more cards. They're already winning and winning fast, so they don't need
if they're
10
winning
more.
It's the cliff notes from this entire conversation, right? Is that it's not a one size fits all reaction on this card.
Right.
It's
Yeah, Quest Priest is the one where it makes the most sense because first of all, a vanilla 3 drop is fine in Quest Priest because you need something that costs 3, and also because the quest starts in your hand and you're already playing a bunch of random junk, like whatever, just throw some more random junk in there. Doesn't matter. But if you're playing Quest Hunter, we're already so hard up for damage spells. Now, it's worth noting, think of this deck building restriction the same way you thought of the Reno deck building restriction. When you have more cards in standard, those decks get so much better because they don't have to make compromises anymore.
Yeah.
This is going to be the same way. In a 6-set standard, a Renathal deck is much less of a compromise because your redundancy is so much higher with a bigger card pool. We will see more of him as the year goes on, but the decks will get more powerful to match the extra 10 life in the process. So it'll probably be a really interesting push and pull to see what decks end up going Renathal or not Renathal, or if you play Reno and Renathal and have a Renothal deck, like I hope that happens because I want to say that word more often. You know.
Yeah, I mean, your description overall just made Renathal here seem like a Reno-esque card, that there's going to be some Renathal decks, and there'll be plenty of non-Renathal decks, the same way we saw plenty of Reno decks and non-Reno decks back in the original dawn of Reno. So,
yep.
I just said Reno a lot. But, yeah, it's a truly wild card. And, like, going back to you, Joce, being like, well, could they ever add 3 cards to a deck? I would be like, well, if you had asked me yesterday if they could do 40 cards to a deck, I would have said no. So who knows? I didn't see this coming. This
is also the coolest pre-release card they've ever done, and the perfect card to send out a month before the expansion. There are more people talking about and playing Hearthstone Standard today than there were for like most of the last month, because they want to experience this card. Perfect card to throw into Standard, because it makes people engage with the game in a historically low engagement time period, and it makes things interesting by itself. Really, really nice job there. We've had more powerful pre-release cards than this. Kael'thas was a pre-release card. Like, what the hell? That was dumb. Okani was a pre-release card last expansion. It's fantastic in multiple meta decks. This is worse than both of those, but it's still getting more conversation, more discussion. So I think it's a really, really great choice from the team to put it out.
It's really out of left field if you played Hearthstone for a long time, and if you're currently a little burnout. This is gonna raise an eyebrow.
Now you're just showing off.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. So, okay. I know that 40 cards and 40 health is like the big controversy today. However, that's not the only thing in this patch. And I feel like this needs some conversation too. No more BG perks in my pre-order bundles.
Maybe it's a big fat asterisk.
Are you saying maybe in terms of like it doesn't deserve discussion, or maybe it's happening because they said that their pre-order bundles are there and there's no BG perks?
It says this time in their little asterisk there. It says Battleground perks are not included in the Mega Bundle pre-purchase this time, which infers that there will be a time in the future where they will once again be included in the Mega Bundle. But apparently, according to the team, they're reworking how Battlegrounds perks and rewards work for the next Battlegrounds season. And they said until then, some of the current perks are being extended. Check out the patch notes and stay tuned for more details, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Yes. I wish, because like I understand taking like kind of splitting apart the bundle into its like specific game modes. So like you're buying a standard bundle, or you're buying a Mercs bundle, or you're buying a Battlegrounds bundle. But they put Mercs cards in this. I'm like, that means nothing to me. I don't want them. They just clog up my game.
That's probably how people who don't play Battlegrounds feels. However, did anyone see the Firestone tweet?
No.
Did anyone see the Firestone tweet with the line graph?
With the yeah.
Yeah. Do we want like just a moment, just so you know that it's not always shade with me. Sometimes me dumping on mercenaries as a forgettable mode in this game is actually a statistic and a fact. Because dear God, Battlegrounds is a very, 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 very popular mode, according to Firestone and people that use the Firestone app, the most popular mode. According to a graph that they put out yesterday, which doesn't surprise me in the least. I'm going to dial back the smug now so we can have a conversation. So, like, that's where I go. This feels bad because, A, I don't like mercenaries. I have an axe to grind with mercenaries, and now I just saw new stats that back up this thought. Like, so I'm sure folks that don't play Battlegrounds already feel that way. They're like, I don't care about Battlegrounds perks. They don't play this mode. I'm just here for the standard cards. So at the end of the day, I understand that inclusion, especially if Battlegrounds perks are not being included, because there is this sort of grandfathered in expectation that there's just something else. There's some other sort of added value that will be a nice boon for the people that fall in the Venn diagram of both liking standard and whatever that extra bonus is for whatever extra mode they decide to throw us a bone in. And this time it happens to be mercenaries. which it looks like statistically is a lot fewer people. But yeah, I get it. Like, I totally understand why
I
that's the
think
change.
this is more. I think this is more about finally some clear recognition that BGs is really its own game and phenomenon inside the client, and the BGs seasons. It is super duper weird for the rollover on the thing that affects BG's players the most is tied to a standard release.
Right.
Super duper strange. This isn't about the removal of the perks from standard. This is about the addition of perks to BG seasons. And this is just a byproduct of how it was before. Because it makes sense for the BG's thing to match up with the BG's content. So they just did that.
I do.
And
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree with that. I think just as someone who does play like ranked standard and BGs, the bundle was always perfect for me. I do both modes pretty much equally. And now I feel like they've taken something away from me because I used to just mega bundle, bam, done. Like, don't even think about it because it has all the stuff I need. And now it has some of the stuff I need, but not all the stuff I need, and some total garbage that they tried to sprinkle on top and maybe hoped I'd go play that mode. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt they're under if they listen to the show, they're not under any of those pretenses. I'm not worried about that. It's really just like you're right that there is an expectation that they gave us the perks to throw in a while ago, and now we are used to them, and now they're being split off. And while it was extra on top of a thing we were already buying before, now it's potentially a new thing we have to buy if we want to keep getting the same quality of life, which is not technically a price increase, but kind of sort of price
It
increase.
feels like it, right? And I think it kind of
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. This is very much not necessarily me saying like dollars and cents they're stealing my money. It's like it feels like I have to do multiple purchases now to do the thing I was already doing in one purchase. And I felt the mega bundle was a good value for me. And now I'm would raise an eyebrow, but all I can do is wiggle my nose. So I'm wiggling my nose at it.
We are batting 100 on callbacks on today's episode.
Yeah. So that's like I recognize that it's a feels thing more than an actually I've sat down and crunched the numbers and Hearthstone's going to cost me more thing. Like this just feels not great to me specifically, and I know I'm a very specific kind of player. So I kind of just wish like if they were going to split stuff off that they'd just keep them in their silos and be like, here's our standard stuff, here's our merc stuff, here's our BG stuff, and everybody's separate now and all of our prices work for the kind of stuff that you're buying, and that's just no one has to figure out value now. Just if you're a BG's player, go get that stuff.
Yeah, it's hard for me not to go
Either
down
mix
the
them together or don't.
It's hard for me not to go travel back down the road of I really wish these were separate games, but they're not. And also, they were born of Hearthstone when they were born of the Hearthstone team, and they are built in the Hearthstone client. So also, like, I really like Battlegrounds and wouldn't exist without Hearthstone. So I can only complain so much. Like, I'm really glad that it exists. Auto Battlers is a genre I really enjoy, and Battlegrounds is my favorite one of those. So,
I also wouldn't be surprised at all if there's way more overlap between standard and mercs than there is between BGs and literally any other mode in the client. Well, it's standard and mercs are both. There's a cost investment, a time investment, and a level of like card based interaction. So I'm I'm glad they're adding these things, even if they're just gonna sit in my client for a while, because I haven't played mercs in a while either. Like until there's an excess coin solution, I'm just not gonna bother going back. And even then, I don't foresee spending a lot of time in the mode, but it does not surprise me that this is the bundling they're going with of games you play with cards that you bring versus BGs where we give you the cards. Um, it makes sense to split up BGs, makes sense to throw Merc stuff here. But yeah, I'm probably going to buy an extra thing every expansion now. So if that's what they were going for, it worked on me.
gives me pause. Could have done an eyebrow joke there, but we need some more time between the eyebrow jokes. So, yeah. So, shall we dive deep into Battlegrounds, or do you have another thought?
I wanted to think about something real quick. I wanted to think out loud. I think that this is not something I'd ever say about Hearthstone and Constructed Hearthstone. I think they're changing too much stuff too quickly. And I know that's a weird thing to say about a mode where we've been begging for faster changes and more communication for like the entirety of the Angry Chicken's existence. Um,
I have
but it
stopped, by the way. I
was
would like to point out I've stopped asking for that.
It's true. Yes. Um, the balance patch where they buffed 17 cards and nerfed 3 cards was 6 weeks ago, I think. 6 weeks. 4 weeks ago we got the mini set. 2 weeks ago they did 12 more changes. Today they did another major patch and put Prince Renethal in the game, which fundamentally changes how you can build your deck if you want, and it's free, so you don't have to worry about getting the card. Just if you have the card, it's another decision point you have to make. If you are not a highly engaged player and you have tried to keep up with playing one deck over the past 6 weeks, what the hell happened to you? It's things changed 4 times for you in 6 weeks. That's a lot of stuff. 32 cards were changed. 36 cards were added to the game. In the last 6 weeks, not an expansion release. Halfway through an expansion cycle, there were a total of almost 70 cards changed. I don't know what it's like trying to keep up with someone that is less engaged, parent with a day job that plays
Well,
at night.
Hat, let me
Yeah.
tell you, it's been
Okay.
very difficult, and I have not played Standard. I
worry that
barely
they're pushing
played the
people
mini
out.
set. Yeah, I barely
Yeah.
played the mini set. I still engaged with Battlegrounds, but it felt really hard when you only play a couple of days a week. In Standard specifically, I'm talking about right now. It was really hard to kind of find, or I guess like discover a deck, learn a deck, pilot the deck, and then come back the next week and it's something totally different, doesn't work anymore. Like
I can tell you don't play Demon Hunter.
well, fair. Like not obviously every change, like not everything changes, but it's like too many choices, I guess, and not really having enough direction and not knowing what's good. Like it's the reason why I literally every time I want to come back to Standard when I've been away for a few weeks, I'm like, Hat, what do I do? What do I play? Like point me in a direction. You know what I like. What do I do right now? Because there's, like 20 decks that are, tier 1 and 2 and high end of 3 right now. Like what do I do?
I got COVID. I had a fever for 4 days. Day 3, I played some games because I was sick of laying down. So I was properly out of commission for 4 days. And I feel like I haven't had a grasp on what the hell's happening in Standard since. I've just been trying to play catch up. And every time I start to wrap my brain around anything, things change. Except for the Demon Hunter joke. Demon Hunter's been pretty
Well, and I
straight
think the
line
thing
the whole
is
way,
like
but
even if you're playing Demon Hunter, even if your deck doesn't change, the decks that you're facing on ladder are potentially totally different. So it's a lot like and I know we've talked about this before, usually in metas that have a lot more cards than this, but the less straightforward the meta, the more variety in decks, the more difficult it is to pilot a deck through that meta because there's so many different matchups you have to know. There's so many different strategies from your opponents. Like as much as we, kind of bemoan a rock, paper, scissors meta, that's a really easy meta to grasp. And if you're a player who only plays once or twice a week and, has their Hearthstone Friday nights or something, you might like a rock, paper, scissors meta because every Friday night when you come back to it, it's pretty much the same experience until you hit an expansion. This isn't that at all. This is every week or every couple of weeks, you're coming back to something totally different and it's very complex. And you're going to see in any given session is going to be totally different. Some people love that. Some people who just want to take their Friday night and climb don't love that and get very, very frustrated and probably bounce off the game.
Yeah, there's so much to keep up with, so much to keep track of. You even have to know what bugs are going on right now because they might be gameplay impacting. Luckily, there haven't been too many of those, but you have to know. You have to be
Yeah.
aware. And sometimes you win the deck lottery and you're playing Holy Paladin, and it's been the same for 6 to 8 weeks.
I chose
Celtius
incorrectly.
has
I was
been
like,
more
Mac Pally, which has also been pretty samey, but
It's been
varying
pretty much the
degrees
same.
of good.
Yeah, it's there are some decks that have been semi-stable, but most of them have been fundamentally changed, either how they approach the meta or how they function. And Garrett, you were playing Pirate Warrior for a while, and boy, does that deck look and feel different than it did at the start of this expansion.
I've abandoned it completely and just been kind of jumping around. Yeah, and then there's like, there's also bias factor because I think this is also, it makes it really difficult to make content around Hearthstone. Like, we do a weekly show. If you're a YouTuber and you do multiple videos a week, your video might be relevant for less than 7 days.
Yeah.
If there's a major change, if you do like specific deck focused discussion, like I came back from COVID and I was like, oh boy, I'm gonna make a joke about 30-minute Warrior games, and that was a relevant joke for like 3 days after I made it. It was over. They absolutely put a hit out on that archetype.
Well, and
so
I mean,
it's
like
just-
now when I'm looking at like HS Replay, or if I'm looking on YouTube for a deck guide or something, it's like there is no point in going to those other sites. Like, you have to basically watch someone on Twitch and be like, what are you doing right now? And
In this
teach me how
exact
to do
moment.
it so I can go do it. Yeah, because your video from, like you say, Garrett, like a week ago or a couple days ago, whatever, is now out of date, and I can't actually learn how to do a thing because it's not relevant anymore. Which again,
The YouTube
when
content game has gotten so much harder. It's now like, if you want to know how a deck is played, you go to Twitch because they're playing the current patch right now. But YouTube content, the game has been, how do I figure out how to make videos that aren't about gameplay in a deck?
Yeah, yeah. And so then that's another, piece of this larger why might people bounce off of Hearthstone question. And I think it's like when those go-to resources that you used to have, like YouTube videos on how to play decks, third-party websites that would maybe give you deck guides or at least give you stats, when all of that stuff is no longer available to you because it's just not relevant and it can't keep up. And I'm not saying that it's the party, like third party sites fault. I'm saying like that, it's just another piece of the puzzle, another thing that's unavailable to me as someone who doesn't necessarily play all of the time. I think if you're playing like 3, 4, 5 times a week, if Hearthstone's your only game, you're totally fine. And you're like, what is your problem? Why is this even a point of discussion? But if you're only playing once or twice a week, and Hearthstone's not your only game and you play a lot of different stuff, or if you don't even have time to play games except for one night a week of Hearthstone, then like I think you have some resources you use to do that. And if those are no longer relevant to you, like you're telling me I don't have enough time to play Hearthstone, but I have to somehow find time to play a Twitch or to watch a Twitch stream and like learn on a Twitch stream and then go and then have fun in my game. Like, I don't know. It just, yeah, I think it's starting to feel like they're changing stuff too quickly. And like, they're not even, and I know some stuff is bugs, but it feels like we're not even necessarily getting the chance to go back to that like early vanilla Hearthstone mentality of like, something's OP, give the community time to figure out how to play around it. Is there absolutely no counter, or did we just not spend enough time to bother finding it? Like, it just seems like we're nerfing, buffing all the time.
Yeah. I think we've often talked about, how much is too much, how much is too little, and there's a sweet spot. And it's I don't think we've ever really had a perfect answer for that, but it's I think we're at the point where we're like, yeah, this is clearly over the line of too much.
It's the volume of cards for me at this point. Like, listen, I'm pretty wired in. I think it's fair to say. I'm pretty engaged with what's going on in Hearthstone.
I think that's a pretty bold leap
Bold statement.
leap in logic there, Hat.
I can kind of keep up. I can pretty well keep up, but it's tiring. It's like, I can do it. I don't enjoy having to do it. The amount of engagement that it takes to really be this aware of what's going on has never really felt more significant. And for people that play less, it can be disorienting, or you can just roll in and queue up whatever if you don't care. But it's the amount of cards they're changing at once is just a lot more than I remember them doing in the past. And 17 buffs followed by 12 nerfs is just, these are really big numbers. It's a lot of things to change all at once. It's hard to tell
Mhm.
where it's going to go. And their strategy in the past was don't delete decks. And I don't know if that went down quite the same way this time. Warrior's death was exaggerated. It's not gone. And Demon Hunter is fine, whatever. But it was still like there are some things that people just constantly did that are kind of just gone. And I'm just concerned that there's
Mm.
if you have to be the level of engaged that I am to be aware what's going on and it's even tiring at that level, that's too much. That's too much.
I've been the most casual player on this program for like a year now, and I was really enjoying it. It brought me peace that I hadn't had in Hearthstone in a long time, where I'm like, I'm going to be a BG main, and I'm just going to like get my quests done in standard, and that's how I'm going to operate. And I had a really good time, and I found my decks, and I kind of got I found like an identity within those decks because they were good enough for a long enough period of time, and that hasn't felt the case basically since the standard year started. I think I said last week or the week before that, I think like after week 2 of the new set, like I thought it was a really strong launch. And then ever since then, I've just been like rudderless in terms of standard. And Battlegrounds has had issues too. And I think that's, to me, that's playing to my kind of like uneasiness with the state of things. I'm really excited about the Battlegrounds changes today.
We should talk about them.
We should. Yeah, I think it also falls under the banner of maybe a little too much, a little too fast.
How smooth that segue was. It was really nice. I'm a fan.
It would raise an eyebrow if it wasn't so well accomplished.
Have a good battle, friend.
This would fall under the umbrella for me for maybe too many changes all at once, but whatever. Battlegrounds needed some help, so I'm fine with it. The patch that deployed today brought with it a bunch of Battlegrounds changes, including one that this very program, I believe, said, at least 2 of us, I think, said we would be ecstatic if they just brought this one thing back to Battlegrounds because it seemed to play out very well. And here it is. Dark Moon prizes are back. And they said from now on.
We did it.
Hey, yeah, thank us and no one else. I definitely never heard any. Oh, really? Hold on. Here we go. Audio on.
Okay, wait. 1, 2.
There we go.
Nailed it.
Yeah, Internet 5. But yeah, from now until the end of the Battlegrounds or the next Battleground season, Dark Moon prizes will appear in 25% of games. Boo, just put them in all. Just put them in all the games.
I think I'm okay with stuff not being in every single Battlegrounds game. I feel like my least favorite metas are always right after a new minion type releases because they're in every lobby and things start to feel samey very quick. So I'm okay. You know what would be really cool is if we had like 50% of games had Dark Moon prizes and 50% of games had buddies.
No.
Okay, 25, 25, 50. No changes, 25 to prizes and 25 to buddies.
Can we at least go half on the Dark Moon prizes? Like 25% is not enough.
Oh,
Like-
okay.
like-
So you want 50% prizes, 25 nothing, and 25 buddies. Okay, as
Buddy-
long as we get buddies back in.
No, my issue is with buddies, Joss. My issue is with your suggestion is buddies. My issue with Hearthstone devs is this thing everyone wanted is back in maybe a quarter of your games.
I would still say I'm okay with it not being all the games. Like percentages aside, like if you want to give me 1 in 4, 1 in 2, whatever. But yeah, like do what you will with your percentages. Just don't make it 100.
Here's how I'm gonna win. Here's how I'm gonna win this discussion, this debate. Joss, last week's after show, we spent a lot of time talking about amusement parks. What's your favorite ride at Canada's Wonderland?
Oh, I don't even know. I haven't been in so long.
What's a ride
say
you'd like?
Behemoth, because that's the first one that comes to
All right.
mind.
What if Behemoth was like gone for like a year?
I mean, if they're making safety upgrades, it'd be okay with that. That thing is too big. I don't want to get murdered.
It's not if it's not if it's gone for a good reason.
For 2 years. It's kind of gone for 2 years.
What if a ride you liked was gone long enough that you missed it? The reason it's gone is irrelevant. A ride is gone and you miss it. It's been gone for a decent amount of time and you miss it. They put out a press release and the first bullet point is that ride that you miss is back, but it's only open 1 day of the week.
Well, I mean, that also is how a lot of amusement parks work with their rides because people throw up on everything. And every time you go, to try to ride the ride and they're like, sorry, it's closed. It's covered in puke.
Stop being so technical. You're like, well, why did it close? Did somebody die on the ride? Do we need to put more seatbelts in?
I'm going to call this a labored analogy.
Yeah.
Heavily labored. Okay. So anyways, I have a crazy suggestion. What if there was a extra mechanic queue and then no extra mechanic queue, and one of them was sometimes buddies and sometimes prizes, and the other one was BG?
Oh, so if you had like standard battlegrounds and then like all the kooky, crazy, wild stuff happens in another queue.
Interesting words that you chose there. Yeah, you could do standard and
Standard
wild.
BGs and wild BGs. Yeah.
You could do that. And then maybe at some point that they figure out a way to get the BlizzCon version back in, they could do like BG's Classic.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Do you think that would split the player base too much?
I'm just throwing stuff out here.
Was me saying I think 25% sucks that difficult that you needed to go on this long journey of bullshittery and things that aren't happening?
Yes.
What the hell? I don't think saying I want the exciting thing I wanted back to be in more games than a quarter was going to be this divisive.
I'm going to turn up the compressor in Garrett's local audio this week. Just going to make sure we back that thing up.
I'm watching my levels while I yell, by the way. I did get away from I'm nowhere near peaking on my end, so just enjoy.
I'm sure everything is.
Why do you hate everything I say?
'Cause it's funny for content.
But yeah, I'm glad prizes are back. Prizes were cool.
I think they made something exciting not exciting with that 25%, and I'm a little annoyed by it.
I'm interested
what
to
they
hear
did
what
last
you think
time.
in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
I like the idea. I would like the idea of being able to decide, like just player agency. Let's give some player agency. Let me decide when I'm in or when I'm out, as opposed to like 25% doesn't really make anyone happy. Either I want to do it, and I like hopefully I get to, but then I don't, and I'm grumpy, or I don't want to do it, and then every so often I'm like, oh crap, it's a prize game. Like just don't surprise me.
It is an added APM level, and I would just rather always be ready for it as opposed to be lulled into this false sense of security and go, oh shit, oh crap, what am I going to pick? Yeah. Anyways.
But BGs is fun. It's I don't usually say this, and this doesn't usually come up in the show. BGs is the mode I'm playing the most of right now.
What?
It is fun. It's fun. It's fun. I have a good time when I play it. I don't know. I want to like do stuff, and Naga's a cool support tribe, and there's enough variation with 4 tribes out each game that it feels dynamic and interesting. And then sometimes there's prizes. I'm like, whoa, what do these do? And like, I'm not very good at it, but like, whatever. Nobody at my MMR is, because it's fun to be casual. And I just play it, and I just pick some stuff, and some random crap happens every so often. I Uther a Bronze Warden, and then it's a 15-15 Bronze Warden, and then I get top 4 in the lobby, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm going to do that again.
Do you do it again, though?
I played as many BG's games as standard games today, and the BG's games were substantially longer.
Joce, this has nothing to do with the new patch, but I did get first place with Alex Straza last week on my main account, which I've never done before, so I got that achievement. Yeah, I told Twitter, don't tell Joce, and then someone promptly tagged you. So I just want everybody to know, Angry Chicken listeners are snitches.
I mean, I'm glad. Honestly, I hope you had fun in the game. She is one of my favorite heroes.
I had a really good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've been off the Alex Straza sucks train for a while. Had a good time. It was really fun. It's always fun to win, but it was if I remember correctly, it's like my discoveries were actually pretty bad, but just valued them and had a good time. So no. One of them was Caligos. Never mind. That was a double Caligos game. I absolutely high rolled the shit out of that. Never mind. I'm misremembering. Anyways, back to the patch that you're actually here to hear us talk about. The number of copies of each tier 1 minion was reduced from 16 to 15. This is, to me, a pretty damn big change.
I think it's a good one. I feel like staying down and getting triples, especially on a couple of choice heroes, was more powerful than it should be. And this just makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah. And then we talked a good amount already about what's happening with Battlegrounds perks, but we didn't get into the specifics about what perks are being extended and all that other shiz. So the following perks are being extended until the next Battlegrounds season instead of the next standard expansion, because we're not confused enough already today. Discover from 4 heroes, hero early access if any early access eligible heroes are released at that time, and advanced stats. Those are being extended. Visual emotes will remain until the next standard expansion, at which point all Battlegrounds players will receive the base visual emotes. And they said stay tuned for more details, yada, yada, yada. So
Wait a minute. Base visual emotes.
Doesn't that, yeah. Doesn't that seem like
that qualifier
hint?
implies that there will be off base visual emotes? More.
Somewhere a friend of ours is worried about a certain cow emote.
Well, I think they're probably going to end up either being sets or like a wheel you can pick 6 or something.
That's what I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get to customize each and every one of our emotes. Joce, I'm going to laugh so hard if we get the sorry emote back. Like it's this like super squished tiny version of sorry.
I would love that so much. But yeah, I think that you'll have some leeway in its customization, and we're gonna pay for it because they are trying to, I think, in my opinion, pick as many parts of the Battlegrounds experience as they possibly can and make them customizable because they want our dollars for what is obviously a very popular mode.
Go for it. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. I want this mode supported. I love this mode. At the moment, I don't want more updates, but most of the time I want more updates. And yeah, as long as you do not over monetize the base level experience, do not nickel and dime me to have as many hero selections as I possibly can.
Right. Like don't impact the pay to win side of things. Like just keep it cosmetic only. My only problem, because I'm still, the thing that it really bothers me in Battlegrounds is the lag. I'm still having huge lag problems. I know that they said that they were trying to fix it. They're working on it. They've made some changes, blah, blah, blah. I'm still having lag problems. It's really annoying. It makes it so I can't play some specific strategies, and I really don't like that. So, I mean, like tinfoil hatting conspiracy theories is they've started to change too many things in the board. The game is starting to try to think about too many things, and it's not letting me just play the game. So if you're going to pull out emotes and have everybody customizing emotes and the game board and you're breaking my game. Stop breaking my game.
Did you play it all today? Because it got a lot better for me today with today's patch.
Oh, did it? Okay. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't play with today's patch.
Yeah.
No,
It's not. I'm not gonna say fixed because I'll get tweeted at, and fixed is not a word that you use with live service products. For me, the issue was mitigated today. It was mitigated.
A
Not
lot
none.
of rescue
not
animals
no lag.
follow Hat on Twitter, apparently.
Animal? What? Oh,
There's a spay and neuter joke.
I get it. Well, I get it now.
Yes. No, I haven't had a chance to play today either, but I'm glad to hear that. Lag hasn't been too terrible for me recently, although I did have one particularly egregious game last week that made me almost go full Jocelyn on my mouse.
Oh, boy.
Well, like
Never go full Joss.
I used to be able to go 2 or 3 Battlegrounds games, and then I'd have to close Hearthstone down and restart it. And, it was getting to the point that I couldn't even make it to turn 10 without like having to restart. And that's really frustrating and annoying, and I don't like doing that.
It's not a good time. And, I'm sure if it was an easy fix, they would fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and
I'm
I
just saying,
think-
I'm wondering if all of these customization pieces and all the moving parts now that they've built in and around the mode are part of the problem. But again, that is very tinfoil hatty of me. Obviously, I am not a game dev. I did not build Battlegrounds, so I do not know how all of the things work that the client is trying to process. So
If you want to feel better, I have a spreadsheet I can send you with a historical account of all of the bugs that are still in Heroes of the Storm.
yeah.
I don't know if that would make any of us feel better. But I will point out that if today's today's episode was your Here's the Storm podcast, there would be a very topical weather-related joke to open the show, and I'm kind of upset that didn't happen because you would be the hero of the storm.
Am I a hero if I'm just huddled inside praying the storm goes away?
You can be a hero for us.
Are you saying I can be your hero, baby?
Oh, that is going to be stuck in my head for weeks.
That was in maximum slow dance rotation when I first hit high school. Yeah.
Should we talk about the new hero?
No, I'd rather talk about high school dances. Lady Vosh has been added to Hearthstone Battlegrounds at Armor Tier 1 with the Relics of the Deep hero power, which is going to cost you 1 gold to activate, and you will discover a spellcraft spell of your tier or lower. Passive, your first one each turn, is permanent.
This is really cool. I feel like, I mean, yes, we had a Naga specific hero, but it feels like this is going to make your Naga more powerful, not just more plentiful. I like her design. I think it's cool.
Yeah, that passive, discover a spellcraft. Okay, that's cool, but that passive just really puts it up over the top. And okay, you had, I was interested, but now I'm here. I'm present. So, and this is part of early access. So if you have Battlegrounds perks, Lady Vosh is early access until July 11th.
We're only 2 weeks away from my birthday. I feel old.
I'm going on a, not to belittle your birthday, but in 2 weeks I'm going on a trip, which I'm really looking forward to. So, yeah. By the way, I won't be here in 2 weeks.
Oh, we know.
2 weeks from.
We have to figure out what we're doing next week, by the way, because it's kind of July 4th.
Yeah.
Tuesday show? Probably? Question mark?
Probably. We're doing a little on-the-air planning here.
Yeah.
Some good on-air logistics.
Who needs hero updates when you guys can hear when we're going to do the show next?
You're getting Angry Chicken updates. This is exclusive content you can only get on the Angry Chicken and sometimes on our Twitter when we think to actually inform you of changes to the show. Yeah.
Or when we think to actually make decisions about when the show will be.
There's a butt ton of hero updates. We'll try and move through these briefly. Bigglesworth hero power will now give a consolation coin whenever a player dies with no minions. Is this just, I haven't seen this in game yet. Is this just one, you just get 1 gold?
Yes.
Because 1 gold is definitely worth. I don't know why it's not 3 gold.
That sucks. Moving on.
Buy a minion. Yeah. Because I mean, when you're playing Bigglesworth, you could potentially get, golden minions, which is obviously a high roll, right? The later on in the game it happens, the more likely that chance is. But regardless, you get a minion. So why not give people enough coins to buy a minion? And then it's the same, whether the player DCs or not.
That's still, I can't believe I'm getting more and I'm mad about it. But here I am. Carol Rome Conviction now targets more minions at each rank. 2 random friendly at rank 1, 4 random friendly at rank 2, and all friendly minions at rank 3. Carriel needed some help. Big fan of Carriel as a paladin player, so I'm happy to see this. Drekthar. Used to be choose a friendly minion. It copies the attack of your highest attack minion until next turn. Now you choose a minion. It copies the attack of the highest attack minion until next turn. The dev comment here is that both Drekthar and Vandar can target and can copy from any minion, including minions in Bob's Tavern.
It's better.
Yeah. Good change.
Yep. I've heard Vandar's really good right now because it does the health swappy thingy. But also because the Kooky Chemist, the new minion that swaps attack and health, really good with Chroma Wing, the dragon that doubles every time you level. Really good there if you flip it and then copy the giant health number.
Guff had a lot of changes, kind of. They went from armor tier 7 to armor tier 4, so they must really believe in what they're changing on his hero power, which is it now costs 2 gold up from 1, and now gives a friendly minion of each tavern tier +3/+2 instead of +1/+1, which, yeah, I think that's a lot better.
It seems like a lot. Like, that's a huge jump, right? And I mean, 2 gold, though, is also a very expensive hero power and really has the potential to mess with your economy. So this is the one where I look at it and I'm like, I need to actually play with him. I need to feel this one out. Lots of moving pieces here.
It's potential, like in a perfect world where you have 6 minions of varying, 1 through 6 tiers, that's a lot of stats for 2 gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's harder to fit into a turn, but also I think that like if I'm on turn 5 or turn 3, 5 gold, I think I probably feel a lot better about buy hero power now than I did before.
Mhm.
Because if you buy on tier 1 and then level, or like if you buy on 3, level on 4, buy button on 5, that's a 6/4 if you bought any 2-star minion. 2 gold for a 6/4, which is better than what we would normally do with Yogg or Yasharash. So
Mhm.
seems powerful.
I can tell Hat has been playing Battlegrounds.
I like BGs.
It's a good
They're
rundown.
fun.
They are. One of us. Overlord Sarafang used to be give +2 attack to the next minion you buy this turn, upgrades each turn. Now it's give +2 attack to the next minion you buy, upgrades each turn. I love that. I love being able to bank this hero power.
Yeah.
As someone who cusses a lot when I re-roll and it's just crap. Give me something to do when I'm a little tilted after not finding anything good. Please and thank you. Syndragosa got just a wording change. It's not a functional change on that hero power, so that's all that boils down to. Sneed changed a bit, went from armor tier 7 to armor tier 1. It's like Battlegrounds version of like Colony or Home Run in baseball. They're just, yeah, we nailed it with Sneed. So it used to be 2 gold, give a friendly minion death rattle, summon a random minion of the same tavern tier. Now it's 1 gold, give a friendly minion death rattle, summon a random minion of a lower tavern tier. Yeah, I think this is a lot better. I'm not sure if it's armor tier 1 better, but I have been wrong before.
It was broken at 1 gold last time, and it was better then because it summoned the same tier, right? Like it's so now you can't Omega Buster into Gas Coiler or whatever anymore. That like you're not gonna chain crazy stuff, but you can still stack it, and it's still pretty cheap. Probably a good idea to err on the side of let people kill this before it gets online, then have another Sneed meta. Because turning every single card into a shredder is not necessarily the most fun gameplay once they get going. Because then all their stuff just doesn't die, and usually I prefer it when my opponent's stuff does die.
Yeah. Vandar used to be choose a friendly minion. It copies the health of your highest health minion until next turn. Now it's choose a minion. It copies the health of the highest health minion until next turn. So this includes the shop, not just your minions. A lot more shop interaction in the hero power updates here. And then
Yeah, I think it should generally be the default of if you see a minion in play, you should be able to do the thing with the thing. Like whether it's on the top row or the bottom row, if it's in your recruit phase, you should be able to mess with it by default unless there's a reason not to.
I won on April 1st next year. They just changed hero powers to say do the thing with a thing for a day.
Replace all informative text with thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just play with the card. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't have to be Murloc Holmes to get that one.
Vandar used to be choose a friendly minion. Oh, wait, just read that one.
Did that one.
Yasharash, this is the last hero change. Start of combat. It used to be start of combat. Summon a minion from your tavern tier. Add a copy of it to your hand. It's now start of combat. Add a minion from your tavern to your hand. Summon a copy of it, which, according to the dev comment, means that the minion will be added to your hand even if there is no board space to summon it. This is such a massive quality of life change for Yasharash. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this makes a big difference, I think. Going down a minion always sucked in the later stages of the game, so this is way better. I'm surprised it didn't come with an armor tier change too.
I really like Yashiraj, and it always felt bad later in the game. It was this weird, fun, but feels bad hero, which was a weird mix. This fixes it. And also just makes Yashiraj a lot better. So
Just like, don't punish me for playing Battlegrounds. The ability turns off when you get to the point where you're doing what the game wants you to do. And then you just don't have a hero power for most of the rest of the game, or you gamble on better boards that are 7 synergistic minions. This just says play Battlegrounds and also have a hero power at the same time. Love that. Think that's great. Having to choose sucks.
yep. And then we got a ton of new minions, like a truly surprising amount of new minions, and they're all almost not tribe specific. But we did get one new dragon and one new mech. I think that's it, right? Yes.
A beast. Silverback Patriarch. How could you forget about Silverback Patriarch?
I'm raising an eyebrow at Hat, audio listeners.
It's true. That did happen.
Apologies.
That's been kind of the theme of the episode. They removed a bunch of stuff. They also brought back Shifter Xeris and Iron Sensei. So, like, get your Shifter Xerises ready for some goofy Trollden highlights. And they removed a whole bunch of stuff. The ones that stand out to me are Unstable Ghoul and Pyro Spawn. Divine Shield's got a lot harder to deal with. They did put in Tunnel Blaster, which, when it dies, it deals 3 damage to all minions. And they made a new dragon that does like a cleavy fireball-y thing that's pretty cool.
But
it's
Tunnel Blaster's on a rank higher than Unstable Ghoul, so it's going to be even harder to find when you absolutely need it, which is exactly when Unstable Ghoul decides to go missing, by the way, is when you absolutely need it.
Yeah, he's in every shop until I decide I'd like to pop some shields and then never see him again.
Yep. So yeah, interesting minions here, but it is definitely worth noting that I think Divine Shield's got a little harder to deal with, and then they also, they buffed 4 minions? Greasebot's really cool how they changed it. It's really, really interesting. Because they moved it from a tier 4 that gave +1/+1 when a bubble was popped to a tier 6. It's a 4/7 now, and it gives permanent +3/+2. And like we talked about with Guff, +1/+1 to +3/+2 is a huge change. And there were screenshots on Twitter today of really big holy Necrals. Really, really, really big holy Necrals. I want to do this. I want to do this so bad.
Yeah, and I think that I mean the only thing, and I mean the fact that you've seen screenshots means obviously this change works. Greasebot is viable. I really liked playing Greasebot comps, but it would come online at tier 4, not tier 6. Like the fact that they've moved it to tier 6, yes, it's much more powerful. But I think they're encouraging the power leveling, looking for triples, scamming out these kind of things. Like if you just get it naturally while you're rolling tier 6 is way too late. I liked it on tier 4, even if the buff was smaller.
The thing about tier 4 is I feel like if I didn't find it immediately, it was always too late for Greasebot. Like it didn't scale fast enough. So this intrigues me more. My gut reaction when I saw this was this still seems late. But
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like 3-2, yes, gets adds up very quickly, but like you need it to add up very quickly because it comes so late in the game, and I don't know if 3-2 is big enough to make up for the 1-1. Because like you say, yeah, you kind of have to either triple into Greasebot on 4 and already have some Divine Shields running, or you need to like get there as fast as you can, get it in your first tavern, buy it, and go. It was kind of like a kind of thing where you needed it right away, kind of like Nomi. Like, there's it very quickly becomes too late for Nomi, very quickly becomes too late for Greasebot.
Yeah,
and
I think that
2 tiers later, I don't know about this.
Yeah, I think the difference there is that a lot of Divine Shield minions are kind of good to begin with, and most elementals are terrible even after they get buffed.
Yeah, Greasebot's really cool because it's not mech specific, because you can easily do this with dragons. You can do this with Quillbore or Naga or whatever. And it's a scaling unit, kind of like I figured it's gonna be on par with like Famished Fellbat level scaling,
Mm,
or even what Caligos is like now. But you can do it in so many different ways, and there are ways to lean into it. You can get some Selfless Hero and a Baron, or you can do Holy Mechrel stuff, or you can do just have a Nadina and go to town or
hmm
whatever. And Greasebot just comes along for the ride in all of those. And I really like the direction they've been going when they nerfed Naga, but also then push them back a little bit of all these cool support pieces that interlock in fascinating ways. And Greasebot fits into so many different strategies if you can get him in time. So I think it's a really cool change. I want to play more with it.
hmm
I don't know why dragons need grease, but yeah, I agree. My only concern is thematic.
What are they? Yeah. Is it flammable? That would be bad.
We have more than
Can
just
they
fire
bring-
dragons, but yeah.
Can we talk about Urel?
You want to talk about
She's the-
Urel?
Yeah, she's kind of the only one that I thought that was kind of cool. So she's now a 2-star minion. After this attacks, give a friendly minion of each minion type +1/+2 or +2/+4. She's kind of big. I mean, 5 health on a tier 2 is really good, and I'm excited about more menagerie support. I think this is really neat.
Early game
Yeah.
game menagerie support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
You
think
don't
she's.
have to wait all the way to tier 5.
I think she's really cool. Yeah, actually, both paladins, Uther at tier 6, which is his stats or whatever. His battle cry sets him minions attack and health to 15. There's a lot of potential nastiness with this. I'm gonna be playing so much Zap. It's gonna be great with Uther.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. I can already see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hey, me on a podcast talking about Hearthstone saying, hey, I like the paladin things. Only this time it's not about standard. So there it is. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's things interesting about all of this. You know, for the most part, War Gear is pretty straightforward. War Gear does what War Gear does. But yeah, I'm with you, Joce. Urel's probably the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Uther's cool.
I said Uther's cool.
Yeah, we talked about Uther. Were
Yeah.
you reading chat room?
No, you said that you think Urel is the most interesting. I think Uther is cooler. That's all.
I mean, 1515 is is cooler, but Urel's more interesting.
I think Uther has a lot of uses, and chat room said a couple of them: protecting Baron, making your zap bigger. Like there's lots of things that you can do, and this is a super quick way as well. If you find a piece of your comp, but a little bit later, it's like Uther can give you a super quick buff, right? And help it catch up to the rest of your comp. So I mean, he definitely has a use case, and yeah, I like Urel. I think she's cool. But I like Menagerie in general. I like Menagerie, although I'm not a huge fan of it right now because amalgams. I wish amalgams just didn't exist, but
My Sephin may survive long enough to give something poison thanks to Uther.
there you go.
Maybe. Caligos will have a meaningful attack amount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
That's
there's lots
exciting.
of things that you can do with him, and he's also, I think, like play him and sell him, right? So you're also potentially going to be able to do this quite often. So it's, even though it's a tier 6, it's one of those that you'll probably see more often just by the nature of how you play him.
Yeah.
Foe
Foe Reaper just worked out.
And an Imp Mama, and I take I think Uther is more likely to make me limp into top 4 than an Imp Mama is.
What about an Imp Mama that you put Uther on?
Is she big?
Yeah, more booty. Let's go.
Poor Lil Rag is still sitting there being like, well, I'm a 15-15 here, but I still buff you slower than dirt.
What happened to elementals? When did they become
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They fell off.
You sound like you're about to go to the Joker quote. Like, what happened? Your balls fall off?
I haven't seen that movie.
You haven't seen The Dark Knight?
No, that was in The Dark Knight. I thought you meant the Joker. No, that is.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
wanna
talking about the
rewatch
good
Dark Knight.
one. Yeah.
Right. I have seen The Dark Knight repeatedly, multiple times. I'm going to go rewatch it now. Thanks, Garrett.
What happened, Pat? Did your interest fall off?
It's that I have made the mistake with that movie a couple times where it's like late at night and I read something about it or I just remember it. And I'm like, I'll just watch the opening scene. 3 hours later, every single time it pulls me in every single time, and now I want to watch it like right this moment while playing Battlegrounds.
It's up there with like Fury Road for perfect movies for me. Yeah.
Witness.
Yeah. Yep, it's good stuff. And now we're talking about movies, which means The Angry Chicken, episode 470, is at its end. Thanks to our wonderful patrons, especially those named Steve, for supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. Also, Mark.
Remember,
thank you, Mark.
Adam, this is your week.
Yeah, Adam. If you become a patron, you get access to our patron-only Discord, as well as an ad-free version of the feed. Huge thanks to our producer, Dustin C. Thank you for the support, Dustin. The back catalog of episodes can be found at theangrychicken.com, and you can catch us live, typically Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We don't know what we're doing next week. It's a holiday here in the States. I'm going to eat a lot of probably, calorie-dense food and get a little tipsy while hopefully floating in somebody's pool. If anyone would like to let me go float in their pool, it is entirely too hot here right now. Help. But we'll do a show next week. We just don't know when, what day or what time. Joce, before we go, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joce Plays. That's JOCE Plays. And go check out The Gamers Inn, which is my general gaming podcast.
RidiculousHat.
You can find me watching The Dark Knight while I play Battlegrounds, but also you can find me on twitter.com/RidiculousHat. That's where I make tweets that make Garrett, make facial contortions around his eyebrows.
No, it's usually when I'm on a
but
podcast
also-
with you.
It can be both. And also, I do 2 other Hearthstone podcasts. Coin Concede, making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you over at coinconcede.com. And Vicious Syndicate podcast, where we take a high-level, data-driven look at the standard metagame. Garrett, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Garrett Art. 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett. I trust you know how to spell art. And amove.tv for this. But go to youtube.com/amovetv. Do me a big favor. Because I've been hammering away at this YouTube project, chronicling my playthrough as well as Kyle's playthrough of Final Fantasy XIV. We are about to wrap up Stormblood, and we're talking about that over there, as well as streaming every Monday and every Thursday. And we're doing the next wing of a raid this week because all content in Final Fantasy XIV is always relevant, and you can do raids in between expansions while you level up, and it's awesome. And I'm not used to it. Not going to point any fingers because I've done enough damage today. That's at youtube.com/amovetv. Go give me a sub over there and watch my journey through a new MMO that I haven't played before. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Until next time, thank you, Florida, for not knocking my power out, and job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
I watched
2 hours, all power, all internet. Thank goodness.
Yay.
all killer, no filler. There was a little bit of filler, but that's what it's part of the promise of The Angry Chicken.
It'll be good. I'll clean up a couple parts in post, but it was all good content. As Hearthstone team surprised us with patch and giant format changes. We're going to talk for a minute.
Don't you dare cut me yelling at you for your contortion of my very simple request.
Don't worry. Anytime you yell at me, I usually highlight that in the podcast. That's Days. That's premiere content.
I was just sitting here like, freaking hate you guys. All right, my wave is exporting. I watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent over the weekend, and that movie was
I heard it's
delightful.
pretty good.
It is good. It's legitimately funny and has a weirdly, strong amount of heart. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. After that and Pig, I feel like we can officially say Nicolas Cage is on a comeback tour. He's making some bangers right now.
It's my understanding is from reading the interviews of people that worked with him. Even for the crappy made for TV movies, he always gave 100%. He never phoned it in. So like he's always just he's a strange human being, but he's always just like wanted to make good movies.
Oh, it seems like he's having a good time.
Yeah. And like I remember there were just randomly like, did you ever watch Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans?
No.
It was a random movie that just showed up in theaters one day with way too long of a title that nobody saw, and it was really good. Really, really good.
Interesting. Yeah, comeback tour implies he went away. Sir, he's always been great. That's literally a running gag in the movie. Is we're back, not that we went anywhere. It's like this joke that permeates the whole film. But yeah, I would watch more Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal hanging out together. Next will probably be Everything Everywhere All at Once. That'll probably be the next thing I watch.
That was really good.
It's on my like really, really short list of movies to watch.
We were hitting the theater a lot, and then I had a couple really bad theater experiences, and now we haven't been for a while. And now all the stuff I wanted to see is hitting home media, so I'm gonna watch a lot of movies over the next few weeks. I keep wanting to watch The Northman, but then everything's been pretty heavy in real life and in the world. And this weekend I was like, I just want to laugh. I'm gonna watch this stupid Nick Cage movie, and it did exactly what I wanted it to, except it wasn't stupid. It was like a legitimately well-made film.
Are you going to go to theaters for Thor?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I got to go see that. There's no universe where I'm not seeing that as soon as I possibly can.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be the next movie that I complain about here, but this upcoming weekend is July 4th weekend, and it's Minions release, so it's entirely possible that that I will be tired on Tuesday.
Those are guilty pleasure movies. I kind of like all of them.
I'm not judging the content of the movie. I'm judging the content of the clientele.
I think they're borderline stupid, but I love them. Every time one's on, I chuckle to myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's reasonably well-made movies.
Yeah,
like
they're very pretty.
They do what they do what they say they're gonna do. Oh yeah, Lupton, I really want to see Top Gun 2. Like everyone walks out of it just raving constantly, like just talking about how good it was. I got to see it.
I think we had that rant. I had that rant last after show where it's not an IMAX anymore, so I'm just gonna wait for home media because I want to see it on IMAX, and it ain't an IMAX anymore. So
yeah, that did happen.
I'll wait to watch it at home. When I'm watching on a just okay screen, I have a just okay screen right here. I will probably just buy it on physical media so that I have the best viewing experience. But yeah, I haven't bought a physical media movie in a very long time. But what the hell did I... Oh, I watched episode 3 right before Obi-Wan came out, which I have on Blu-ray, and I popped the Blu-ray in. I was like, damn, Blu-ray looks better than streaming on a 4K TV. Like, still really good.
What resolution is Blu-ray?
1080p.
Resolution. Oh.
But it's a high-end codec.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I hadn't popped a disc in a long time. Actually, no. Christmas. Christmas is when I break out the physical media. Because I'm like, all right, Gremlins, Nightmare Before Christmas, where are you at? Let's go. Not that Gremlins is a particularly beautiful feast for the eyeballs.
I mean, it's a feast for something.
Mostly the Gremlins. At least 1. 2, the puppets are freaking awesome looking. They look so damn good. They are jank in the first movie.
I don't think they expected the first movie to do what it did.
I mean, they slapped Steven Spielberg's name on that thing, so there was some... He was just freaking kingmaker in the 80s, man. He was just like, yeah, I believe in this. Let's go. Did we have a name for this episode? Oh, look at you up top.
Daniel. Yes. Original Alistair Sims Scrooge is the best Christmas movie.
Did you just
Watch
say
that
yes, Daniel?
Every Christmas Eve I watch that. And we actually, like, the copy that we have is color, so we turn our TV to black and white so that we can watch it in its originally intended black and white.
I'm definitely not Googling this to find out what it is.
It's just a Christmas Carol, but it's with Alistair Sim, and he's fantastic.
I don't think I've ever seen this.
It's my favorite version.
I usually watch.
But it's very old.
I usually watch A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Also good.
It's an excellent Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite Muppet movie. I think about that for a second.
So I made
Pretty
the blog
exceptional.
post with a murder most foul because I thought that was great from the patrons this afternoon. But
play on words. I didn't realize it was spelt differently.
Yeah. I like that.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
That's okay. Okay.
That's freaking
very
beautiful.
Yeah, there was a petition in our Discord, so I was like, you know what?
No.
We have to.
No petition needed. I apologize for not getting it immediately. Yes, Hula Gaming.
Yeah, the blog post is there and ready.
Yes, Hula Gaming. You did get
your audio
the
uploading?
visual gag.
Yeah.
My audio should be there.
I got yours already. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mine. I forgot.
Delightful. Had one other tiny hiccup on the upload during the stream today, but it makes me think it's something to do with like local service because it was like down to 0 for a hot second and came right back. And I never lost connection to y'all, so.
It was like 20 seconds. You got your stream quality degraded on Zoom for like 1 minute and then got
It was
better.
back. Yeah. I noticed that's what was happening with the upload. Other than that, it stayed 6,000 all night, which means, again, I think whatever we were previously encountering was an issue with the computer, and the Windows wipe fixed it.
Mm.
Again, it's so strange that it was like Monday nights only, though.
It's weird. But it's whatever you did fixed it so well that Joce's copy paste issue went away too. So
No, it didn't actually. I had to type out everything, and I was really mad about it. I just didn't say anything.
Oh, what copy
Last
paste
week it
issue have you
worked,
been having?
But in Squarespace for the last 4 months, 6
Do you use
months.
Chrome?
It's like, yes.
I have weird gremlins with Squarespace every once in a while with Chrome. Sometimes it's copy paste. I've had an issue with hyperlinks for a year that has not gone away.
It's like as soon as I highlight a line of text, then the whole site freezes and I have to go back in and then.
Oh, that I've never had, but I
and
have had a lot of issues with Chrome and Squarespace. So I usually go to Firefox to screw with Squarespace.
Yeah, and I thought it was my mouse because as soon as I replaced my mouse, I didn't have the problem, but it was back again this week. So
you and your peripherals. Are you sure your V
honestly.
button isn't having issues?
I mean, I hope not.
Might be
although
time
it could be.
Just to be sure, you should probably get a new keyboard.
God damn it.
my
No,
God.
usually it's like once I notice it when I try to type and I'm like my E's aren't and my R's aren't working. That's usually
How are you going to be a pirate without ours?
exactly.
move to Boston. You'll fit right in.
But yeah, so the blog post is there and done.
Delightful.
I'm
Well-
going to think about quickly editing this and then play BGs during and pretend I can multitask and then forget to edit for an hour and then fix it after midnight.
So when I
Fun.
wake up and there's the post is up message from like 2 something in the morning, that is the prophecy
If
fulfilling
it's
itself.
2 a.m., I'll be thrilled with how the day has gone.
Chat room, you've been wonderful. Thank you for listening to our ramblings as well as the after show. Bye now.